Because we do repeat a lot of this stuff. You're not wrong. It's just I don't like editing, so like what I do is, because I'm not actually a YouTuber, I just upload things to help on Discord, on this Discord specifically. So yeah, I just upload in like full videos, and then so I'll do that, no problem. What were we talking about? Sorry.
You were talking about the kill range and then it getting frozen up by their tower. And
yeah, so we're smart enough to know that that's going to happen. So we're going to predict that it's going to happen. We're going to use that to our advantage. How do we use that to our advantage? First of all, the 135 tornado allows you. Okay, this is a little minor, but I want to mention it. It's really not that useful in most of the games. But if you're trying to be the best Yasuo main you can be, then might as well, right? So basically, you have 3 main timers on the birds queue, 130, 133, and 135. I mentioned that briefly. We're just going to explain that very briefly. 130 is the earliest you can do it. So basically at 129.5, you throw in your queue so that it ends the channel at 130 exactly, and that's the fastest you can get it. It really doesn't matter most of the time. When you do that, your queue is going to run out before the 3 minions lose the HP, and then you're able to just queue them again in melee, which is fine sometimes, but sometimes you don't want to walk up because you're going to get zoned, so you need to queue later so you can actually queue safely. If you do 135 while the enemy pushes in a certain weird way, I'm not sure if it's they like hard shove or if they push slowly or what. Sometimes if you do 135 it'll be too slow. So 135 is like the max I'll go. Any slower than that and my queue won't come back up. Like even here, you see your queue is about to come up as these are getting ready to die, basically. And so if they're autoing and stuff, then I'll go for 133 and just see what I can do. So this was perfect. Unfortunately, you were sitting a little far back. And if you think about where, if you're gonna think about where he's gonna, like what he's gonna do, right? He has a queue and an auto. That's how he farms this, right? If you just stand here, like you're trying to line it up with him, right? So you go like this, and as he walks like this, you just mirror it, right? Yeah. And then at some point, if you're here, at some point he's gonna have to press his ability, and then you'll have an easier time. If you're closer, the Q travels less distance, you're more likely to hit him because it goes faster and he has less time to recover from his animation, right? Because you Q at a pretty reasonable time. Like you saw the animation, reasonable human reaction speed, you Q, but he had time still. And one thing is to try and aim for their feet. That's what they tell us. Would it have helped? Yeah. So this is where I would have queued. This is where I would have queued. I may be cheating because I have hindsight 2020, so we know you went right. But like if I just try to pause here, and I see this, and again, you actually queued before me, probably because you were looking at the minions. But I would have queued like at his feet because without boots, they usually don't have enough attack move speed to move away from it, whichever direction they choose. So it's like a checkmate kind of thing. But here, because you were a little far, you end up missing him and not getting all the minions. And sometimes this happens where you're like, well, shit, do I go for the minions or do I go for the guy? And most of the time, I think it's better to go for the minions, unless you're against very like high octane matchups, like Zed. I can't think of another example. Against Zed, you really care about the HP advantage. So any HP you can get on him is more important. Like I won't even mind missing every single CS level 1 if I ensure that I have an HP lead on him. You auto this one. That's fine. I think you didn't do anything wrong there. You could have waited, but you also wanted to hit him. So so far so good. You could have just moved up a little bit earlier. Right here, one mistake already. I think you just auto this minion for free. I didn't like that. We're like super far back. So are you familiar with the concept of like how minion aggro like refreshes when it's like a turret, right? Once these minions die, this minion is gonna look for a new thing to latch onto, right? And so you want to be far, like right here. Do you see how the minion it was latched onto died? So now it's looking at you.
Yep.
Well, if you're standing here to farm, all 3 of these minions will auto you. So you did the right thing by moving away, and it immediately latched onto something else instead, because you're low priority. It wants to latch onto minions unless you hit the person, right? Okay. Or you freeze. And you were out of range, and this was closer, so it just like re-aggroed, basically. You need to understand this on like a very like intuitive level to get really good.
People say that make sure to keep walking back and forth instead of side to side, or is that?
Not necessarily. They do that because they're talking about baiting abilities. Think of Set or Akali. Less useful against this guy. Akali Q mainly, not E. Actually, perfect example. That is a great champ. Let's talk about it. Akali Q, you do great tethering to outplay. Bad Akali players you will win against just because you bait out all their Qs, and they never hit you with them, and you just win lane through that. To be fair, their E is important, and if they hit that, they still do tons of damage because it's stupid champ. But against E, you actually walk side to side because you're trying to bait a skill shot out. So there's two kinds of skill shots: the short range ones that you can bait out, and then the long ones that you have to dodge. So you tether or you go perpendicular. You never go diagonal because it's geometrically, like mathematically, not good. Because these are the only two axes that matter. So every time you deviate from that, that's like distance or like speed lost in trying to do either of these two things, which are the only two things that matter.
I see what you're saying.
Right? That makes sense. All right, so you do the right thing. When minions die, you have to walk away to save, like, I don't know, what's an auto? Fucking... Yeah, let's say, right? So it's like basically 3 minion autos, we'll gonna say is equivalent to like 1 or 2 champion autos, potentially, right? So it's definitely worth dodging because we're trying to win lane. And it starts by getting more HP than him. He lost HP because he didn't do that, I think. Why does he have less HP?
He had less HP. He got,
oh, you see that? Yeah. Yep. So right now you're outplaying him already. Now right here, do you see those 2 clicks? I'm like being super nitpicky, but like you really need to like squeeze every efficiency out of this champ, or else you shouldn't be playing him. Like right now, the moment you see the aggro latch on thing, you go back in and you stand right here to make sure that these minions aggro this minion here, right? As soon as that happens, now you're like threatening. You're threatening. So you walk back. Were you scared he was gonna Q you? I'm not sure. Do you know, or is that just like a random click the way we do them sometimes?
I always just try to stay back.
Yeah.
To make sure if I have nothing to do, I stay back.
Exactly. We don't have nothing to do. We have a goal in mind, right? And so this is where intentionality comes in. We want to not let him do this for free. We want to do all the fights, all the trades. You were too busy listening to me distracting you to do that, so it's not your fault. But in general, in this matchup, once we identify that in the loading screen, that's what we want to do. We no longer have to think about it. We can free up our mental stack to think about other things, such as how to play the lane correctly. So you do try to Q, but because of the bad positioning, you miss it. Ideally, what I wanted from you here is to actually just walk up here and auto him, and then Q, and then just follow him. And you just follow him. Like imagine if you're here and then you auto Q, and then he like does his random bullshit. Again, here again, same thing. I just kept saying.
Instead of walking backwards, I should have been walking towards him right there. So.
Yeah, and then you finally do it a little late, because after the minion dies, if he does fight you, then it's 2-2, so it's not as good as it would have been earlier. Like the more minions, the better. It's like small. We're like going super nitpicky. The thing is, the good news is, the lower elo you are, the less, the bigger the margin. The more, yeah, the higher elo you go, the less HP you'll have by the end of the kill, right? So it's fine to not be this like excellent. Like I'm pretty sure Zookill may not care or something, I don't know. But like if we're doing a coaching, it's more about the theoretical aspect, just so we're familiar with the concept, and then how we apply it is whatever. You can apply it to like 80% and that should be good enough or something. But basically, this is a common trap for Yasuo players that do this a little too much. They end up going for these like semi all-ins at level 1. I do this a lot where I will auto queue and then I'll like follow them, and depending on how it goes, I'll somehow end up on the losing side because 1, they have 2 potions, I only have 1. 2, I may get bait into igniting and then they flash, which in the grand scheme of things is a win, right? Just because of the cooldowns and the value of the summoners. But in actuality, it's a loss because now it's going to be harder for me to dive in, and I'm going to be getting ganked because when I do the level 1 thing, my lane usually ends up more fucked than if I just play it slow. And it disqualifies me from cheater recalling, which is something you asked me about earlier, and we were going to get to a bit of talk about other things, so now is a good time. The other thing we could have done instead of playing the lane is playing for cheater recall, which is matching the shove, hoping basically, you don't decide to do this before the lane starts. You only decide to do this based on what the enemy does. If the enemy is playing super passive and he's not even hitting the wave and he's not even hitting you, there's low chance of you being able to score a kill off like a level 2 power spike or like multiple trades in a row into a dive or an all-in or something like that, right? So the only other meaningful way to build an advantage is with a cheater recall. And you only go for it because the guy isn't hitting the wave, which is going to allow you to build a bigger wave. Of course, they're going to hit a little bit, right? But like they're not actively preventing you from building that big wave. So a cheater recall is you slow push the first one. Slow push meaning you last hit only. You last hit the first wave. You last hit the second wave. Then you hard shove the third wave. You hard shove it. If you do it correctly and you make sure they don't freeze it, ideally they don't because it's such a huge wave, they lose so much HP. And this is the good thing is if they do try to freeze it, even if you can't like push them out of it, they lose so much HP, they're diveable. Either you do actually end up diving them and then it's great, or they have so much no HP that they can continue laning and then you freeze on them here on the bounce and then they're fucked. But most of the time they're just gonna let it go through. And you're gonna be done shoving, crashing that wave when the wave is around here. Do you see my mouse? Between the mid tower and the inhib tower. Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the time, when you're going to do it in your games, the wave is going to be here by the time you're done. And so by the time you start backing and whatnot, like it will be around here, which is not ideal. Like the earlier the better, right? You want to be fast about this. And it will depend. Against Riven and Irelia, I wouldn't do it because they have good shove. Against LeBlanc, do it 100% because she will never be able to push this before the next wave comes. And what you want is shoving it in such a way that you give them two options. One, they hard shove if they can, and then the wave meets here, or they can't, and they have to stack the first wave, and then they have to stack the second wave, and then the wave is going to meet here, and then you're safe, and you have that freeze on them with an item advantage. Most of the time, speaking of cheater recalls, most of the time when you get back to lane, they'll be level 4 and you'll be level 3, so it's rare that you're able to just straight up go in on them just with a level advantage because the XP advantage between like levels 1 to 5 are pretty huge. But sometimes you can. And you can just go for short trade, preparing your level 4 to like finish them as you hit level 4 kind of thing. Small considerations, right? But the idea is, big picture, you slow push first one, slow push second one, crush the third one. By the time you get back to lane, it's frozen here, they're fucked. And you're safe from ganks. So cheater recall is very good, but you only do it if one, the champ cannot push, and two, they're actively showing that they're not pushing. Because if they can push, but they're not actively pushing, you might still be able to go for it. But not against like Riven or Yone or Yasuo, because they can just legit just save it. And they won't get frozen on. And then they can like match. So it's never bad. Like you never get punished for doing it. Because even if there is, actually, you can get punished for it. Sometimes you have a good jungler, because what happens is, it sounds, I'm saying this facetiously because it's their mistake, but it's kind of sad sometimes. You will ward, like I said, the enemy birds by the time you finish the second wave, as you're shoving the third wave, and sometimes you won't have time to do that, but sometimes you will, depending on where the wave meets. By the way, the optimal place to shove, like, the earliest you can hit minions outside of tower range is like to the diagonal. It's like here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but like as close to the wall to the birds, as close to the birds wall as possible, down to the tower. That's the fastest and earliest you can hit them. So you always like get as close as possible to there without actually hitting aggro, and you'll see the minions, instead of continuing walking this way, they'll start, like turn to you, and then you can just hit them faster that way. And so most of the time you'll be doing that, and then you just put a ward over, and then you'll go for your cheater recall, and your jungler is like, wait, you just gave me vision on the jungler, and he's low, maybe I can cheese him out his red. If they don't communicate they're going to do that, and you back, they're going to collapse on it, they're going to die 1v2 most of the time.
Yep.
So that is a potential scenario where you do get punished by cheater recalling, because you're not on the map when something is happening. But realistically, junglers aren't in... Okay, that's not realistic. My bad, I take that back. So, I don't know, like sometimes they'll telegraph that they're going to move over. If you see them walking through river to that red buff, you need to stop your recall and just like hide in a bush, or like, you don't give the play away, right? But you just like get ready to follow it up when necessary. But if they're not telegraphing that, then you can cheater. Because what happens is you come back and it's frozen here, and now you have prio. Meaning, if both of you right now, as you come back to lane, after like you're level 3, they're level 4, if right now Scuttle spawns, which usually it does around that timer, if you both move, you're happy with that. Because the wave is like in this weird spot where if you both move, his minions are going to keep pushing your minions.
Oh, okay.
And ideally slowly, you're right. Ideally slowly enough that when you come back, his wave is dead, but your wave is still kind of alive, so you can still farm most of it. So that's ideal. Basically, cheer recalling can be great, but it can also be misused. Okay, so let's talk about why we're not doing it this game. We're not doing it because we want to play the lane, and I think we just get more from actually playing the lane. And he's actually being active. If he was being passive and I didn't see a kill angle, I would have told you to just go for the cheater recall. So let's talk about how to actually play the lane. We're giving up too much pressure. We're
Letting him farm.
immensely stronger than him level 1. Like, if the difference between us, power, level 1, is 100, level 2, it's like, I don't know, 75. And then level 3 is 50. Like, the relative strength between us decreases with each level, between level 1 and 3. And that's like as bad as it's gonna get. Because level 4, level 5, level 6, the power level does not change, actually. You're still ahead, but you're just not as ahead as level 1. Because of the way that casters work, and specifically Silas, who's passive, is like dictated by the number of abilities he can cast. He's never gonna be as weak compared to you as right now. I'm not even sure if late game, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the strongest you are in this matchup in the entire game. So you definitely need to make use of that. And I know it sucks sometimes because you'll be, if they play it well and they kite you, you'll like go for an auto Q, maybe auto, maybe a third auto Q if you get lucky, and then you'll have tanked a little bit too much minion damage, and then they just use up their 2 potions, and you're like, well, shit, now whatever. But like, you did make them use their 2 potions. You did gain like that 50 gold advantage to your, you know, because you only used 1 to 2, and you won that so hard that they still end up with the same HP as you, but they spent 100 gold and you only spent 50. That's a win. Like, it can be bad because you're stuck with a lane and you don't have whatever, but you need to try it. You need to try that, because sometimes you will get kills. It's kind of OP, kind of cheesy. You will like literally just walk up to people, auto queue them, and they won't ever flash ever. Sometimes they'll fight you, sometimes they'll just walk away, but then they like flash too late or they don't flash. I'm like, am I even playing as a real person? Is that a bot? I don't know. So this is kind of also a little unlucky, is how we didn't proc his bone plating. Realistically, they're gonna go bone plating most of the time. Us doing the auto Q auto is less good when they have bone plating. So ideally, we want to proc it like as soon as like the first 3 are about to die. We missed that, but that's okay. And you had a couple of opportunities. Oh, also another thing. I keep coming back to this because I've been meaning to talk about this. When these minions die, this is the best time to fight for the most part, because you have like, let's count it actually, 146 to, basically, you want to be fighting before these minions come to lane. Because once they're here, 154, 140, so like about 10 seconds, kind of, we'll say, a little under, 8 seconds, 8 seconds, sure. You have an 8-second window where you can fight this guy without having to worry about minions. 2 minions, negligible. As you like run him down, you'll get closer and closer to his wave. It's gonna like meet you guys halfway, right? Like you're running him down here, the wave is coming here. The fight will end here because you can go in tower range. So you basically have until like 155, say, to stop trading. Realistically, it's up until the first range minion shows up. Right now. This is when the trade starts being bad and you have to like move away a little bit if you're here. So like this entire time, you could have been fighting him up to here, and then you have to start running away. So it's kind of crazy to think that at that entire time, where that he could have been losing about like 500 HP or something, he didn't lose any.
Okay.
That's not good. That's just like, it's fine, because if you're a reliably better laner, you don't have to like resort to that kind of cheese, and you can just like build the HP advantage more reliably while keeping your HP up. Because the cool thing about out trading people on Yasuo is that they lose more trade, they lose more HP than you lose during those trades. But then when you go for these like all-ins, they do end up losing more HP than you, but you lose also a lot of HP. The concept I'm trying to make is good trades, you lose less HP than if you just like do an equal trade. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where it can be detrimental to that cheese, because you lose more HP than you otherwise would, and your HP is the most important resources early in the game. You don't have mana, your cooldowns, they are what they are. They're not that much of a, they're not a resource to spend, although they are, but HP is the only resource you have. You need to spend your HP to get close to someone, because as you're getting close, they're going to be hitting you. So if you don't have enough HP, you literally can't walk up to kill the person, for example. You need enough HP to survive a dodgeable point and click CC that you can't outplay, because your only outplay is surviving it. So if you don't have enough HP, then you're disqualified from making certain plays. So your HP is very valuable. And yet, I would still go for that level 1 bullshit, because it's that, the ROI on it is just that good. Okay, any questions so far?
No, not yet.
Okay, yeah, sorry, like we haven't even gotten into the fucking, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're good. I just feel bad. You're taking all this time to do this.
No, I'm hoping it's valuable. Let me know, like, rush me if you think I'm not being helpful. So, we get here. Okay, now let me get my bearings. The minions come back. You only autoed once. You walked backwards. You didn't make it worth. Autoing him once, like right here, if that's what I want to do, I don't position it this way. I position here so that it's easier to unaggro the minions if all I want is one auto. Because sometimes all you want is one auto or a Q just to like proc the rune and then you back up. Or proc the Yasuo shield, right? If you're playing Yone against Yasuo or something. By the way, Yone against Yasuo, you never trade Qs because Yasuo's Q is stronger. Like it just does more damage. Like you're not going to win that a 1v1. You just know. Okay.
Yone's Q is more damage?
No, Yasuo's does more damage.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Oh, this sucks this whole time. So yeah, this is the big learning here. Just like keep autoing him. I don't like that he thinks he's allowed to do this. He's not allowed. And also do not Q if you don't think it's gonna hit. Like Q less if you have to, but don't Q if it's not gonna land. Just try it. Like even if it's a tornado, right? If you're like, well, you know, it doesn't hurt because it's literally free. I would rather you don't throw it if you don't think it's gonna hit.
Okay.
And over time, that's gonna force you to aim more and be more intentional and whatnot. But also, your Q has a cost to it. One, you're locked in animation, especially if it's a tornado. And two, if it hits minions, it pushes those minions. And that's not good sometimes. So obviously, we don't. Here, we're about like a minion away from hitting level 2. As soon as this melee minion dies, I want to go in. And this guy does not even know what level 2 power spike is. You can just tell. He's just walking into you. He's giving his life away. So what you do is you go here. You go here so that... Yeah, what you can do, honestly, even, is Q him. So let's be like super precise about this. Right about here, you try to come here, and then right now you auto him. You Q him, sorry. You Q him, and then you wait, and you auto here, so that when you hit level 2, you immediately... Actually, depending on where you are, you don't need to E, because if you're already in melee range, you just keep autoing. You only dash, which is a loss of DPS, to get back to a position where you can DPS again. You don't E if...
I remember you asked me, it's a little bit later into this, you told me to E onto minions before.
Yes.
I mean, I know that when you're chasing people, you don't. The only time you want to E onto them is like once there's no more minions and they're starting to get away, you E.
Yep.
So like I do know that, but I don't know if I remember reading, or does it like, if you E onto like 2 minions before you E onto them, doesn't it do more damage?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So just for that alone, it's better. But more importantly, it's because you want to save one more dash. You always leave one more dash to you. And in lane, it's 2 dashes. One on one minion and one on the champion. So you can E out. Never, never. Unless, like, of course, there are exceptions. Like, oh, this is a... Like, just know when you're going into a trade that you don't have your escape. If you're okay with that, then go with it anyway. But most of the time, you want to have that escape available. So you never E in on the first minion. You always E in on the second minion, so you can E out on the last minion.
Okay.
And sometimes you flip that if you think the last minion is going to die because it's the frontmost one. It's going to, like, aggro more minions or something. Like, just think about it, right? All right, so you hit... Yeah, sorry, we finally got to level 2. Don't worry, the rest goes on a lot faster because like the lane is like the most important thing. The rest of the game is just way less things to talk about. So level 2, you're here, you Q him, and then you auto. So by the time you hit level 2, you're halfway through your Q cooldown, and your auto, you Q again, you have 2 lethal tempo stacks, so your next Q is gonna be like less cooldown, I don't know, 2 seconds, whatever. And you get a flash, or a kill, right? But here, you're starting this far away, you're actually queuing him to hit level 2, he doesn't eat it, and he E's out. If you're standing here when he does that, you just E this way, and then you're back in. That's why we always want to be behind him, because his E, all it does is it moves him from one side of us to the other side of us. We never stop hitting him as he E's, which is pretty cool. You walk backwards. There's no justification for this one. It's complete autopilot. You're not scared. There's no threat. It's just a random click that we do sometimes, and no more. I wish you had limited clicks or something, like you had a cool, I don't know, like think of them, because they really are a resource. Like I want you to be intentional about every single click. Like why are you clicking here and not here, right? Like why? It matters, it does. And I know you're like, man, you're just a fucking plat scrub, shut the fuck up. But like, it really does, I promise. So, we kind of E here, and I don't know how I feel about it. So like, you have to unpause so you can actually see the whole thing, because it looks different when it's just paused. So the play goes like this. You Q and misses, and then you hear you're like, I'm at E. Okay, I guess that's kind of okay. Never mind, I take it back. That's why you unpause it and rewatch the thing, because when you watch it in context, it makes sense. You auto. You E out. Yeah. Is there a why? Like, if I ask you, is there...
So the reason why I left is, one, I don't know how to respect his damage, and then I saw he hit 2 right after. So I wanted to get out of there because of what he would be able to do to me.
That's fair. You have like...
I wanted to take that little quick auto E and then out.
You have some good like fundamental base. You're like, you know, level advantage, I win for sure. Level advantage gone, we're not so sure anymore. Let's be conservative. We don't want to feed. Understandable. Now you know that even if he hits level 2, especially because you already started with this much HP,
it's the winner.
If you continue on that trend, it's like YMX plus B, right? Like the Y, whatever, intercept or whatever, makes it so that even with the same slope, the rate of damage is the same. He dies before you. It's just pure math, right? The only reason where you don't continue doing this is if you're both level 1 and he hits level 2. Then you're a little spooked. And honestly, even then you just kill him. Just because Yasuo lethal tempo is OP. But that's a Yasuo specific thing. So in a regular coaching, we would tell you, no, don't, you know, respect level 2. Yasuo coaching against the fucking Silas,
Yasuo are crazy.
all in him. Just all in the motherfucker. Alright. So instead of backing up, how we would play this is we just E here, we auto, Q, auto as we move, and then we E again here probably, and then we continue autoing, and then...
And I can still have minions to E back once I'm done with that.
Yep, you won't need to E back here, which is the good part. Like...
so what does he start, when does he, his pull, his like chains, when is that level 3 he gets that, or when does he usually do that?
Level 1 usually. I don't know why this Silas went level Q level 1. I think he went level Q level 1 to farm the first 3 minions, which is fine. You can do that with E because you just E and then you just auto all 3 minions. It's just tougher because the passive on that auto does less damage than the Q. So only... Basically, the worst Silases will start Q, but you should start E. And then you have like 2 passive stacks instead of just 1, a level 1, and you have a dash and a stun. So it's just a better ability to have level 1, usually. So they get a level 1. Yeah, so he would have like... He already dashed once here, so I don't know... Did he dash again just now? Is that his cooldown, like 6 seconds or something? No. Yeah, it's still down. It's still down. So he would not have been able to dash. The worst he can do is like flash, and because you were ahead of him, hypothetically, the entire time he's walking back to lane, you're autoing him. And then you decide at the end if he's low enough, if it's worth like Q igniting or flash Q auto ignite, like whatever it is, right? Right here, again, a little late. I don't like that EQ. It doesn't do anything for me. I'm never hitting the minions if I'm not hitting him. Hitting minions is a cost to do damage to him. Like, I'd rather not pay that cost, but I'll do it because it's worth it. But it's not worth it to pay the cost without any benefit. It's like, yeah, I'll pay you $10, but no, you can keep the water. Like, I want my water. Right here, he E's. I am not scared at all. Great sidestep, by the way. I would have sidestepped this way because I'm not scared and I actually want to run him down. Either or. I auto Q. You didn't Q here. Unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Never mind.
Auto Q.
Oh,
It's a little slow. It's a little, yeah. It's a little slow. Because right now he moves more. You want to cancel your Q with your E. So you auto QE, and then you keep autoing. And right here, you have to E on this minion. And this sucks, because the same thing happens to me. Like, I know that I want to E on the minion, and I still E on the champ. It's hard. Yeah, like the priority on the outline targeting, it just makes you target champs a little more, which sucks. So you really have to go out of your way to E the minion. But you have to. Because then you can just E like this, auto, E like this, auto, and then you E on him, and he dies. Yep. Like, this is a kill. This is always a kill.
Yeah, oh my god. Oh, okay, right there, I'd honestly be kind of scared.
Yeah, because you saw the big jump, right? Like, that's his passive auto. You're like, ooh. But, like, how many more does he get of those? Right? That was his last one. Did you see? Like, his auto after that was not a passive auto? Because he only had one ability?
I actually don't know what his passive does.
Oh, okay, we're there. Okay, well, like, yeah, see, that's what I mean. The more you play, the more, yeah. So his passive is every time he uses an an ability, his next auto is empowered. So it's AoE and it does more damage. So right here, he's going to use his E. And notice how his...
So basically, he couldn't use another skill to get his...
Yeah, his passive.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Did you see his last auto, how he was like a little circle? He's going to do it again here.
Yep.
A little circle.
Gotcha.
Like that. And now his next one is just a regular one. So here, your shield is coming back up. You never popped your potion. You still have infinite minions to dash towards. And if you literally just auto Q ignite, he dies. But the longer you wait, the more time he has to use his extra potion to get level 3 and like get one more ability on you, which is an ability that heals him, and to get his cooldowns back. He won't even need, like, Silas is notorious for getting level 3 First Bloods. He's a champion that can do that, even though he's weak early, because a lot of the time you'll do lots of short trades, and then as long as against an assassin, actually this is a great concept for you to know in general, because you remember how against mages and ranged champs, you like all in them at level 3, but I'm going to push into you? Because in that scenario, you're the assassin, and they're the mage. Against actual assassins, you're the ADC in the mid lane. You're not an assassin, you're a fighter. So you don't want to be the one at low, actually even against mages, because they're kind of bursty. If you're both at 150 or 200 HP, most of the time that's worse for Yasuo. There's only a few like matchups where that's kind of better for Yasuo. Most of the time that's worse for Yasuo, because most of the time Yasuo needs to be able to survive the enemy burst to elongate that trade, because his damage is like back loaded or whatever, like it's perma DPS. It's not like front burst. His burst is much lower than most of the champs by design. So against Fizz and Zed and Silas, which is what I was talking about, if you do lots of trades over time, you'll both end up at this like lethal range. And when you're in lethal range, Silas can just kill you, which sucks. And I have died to Silas's before because I was just, he was low HP. He was lower HP than me, but I was also low HP, so he could just one-shot me, and I couldn't do anything about it. So when I see this, I'm like, this is it. There's no coming back from this. Like right here, I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go back, and then I'm gonna let him heal, and I'm gonna like be 150 HP, and he can just like go in on me whenever he wants. That's not a good deal for me. To be fair, we did have a potion, so not the worst. Yeah. But there again, I would have like eat back in. I would have like really tried. Now it's over. Even though we're even though we're level ahead, his Q and E are coming back up. And I remember, I think I told you this was the worst thing that we could have done. We were scared, so we left, and then enough time went by, so we regained our composure and we go back in. Awful. Do not give him the trade when he wants it back. This is actually pretty good.
So right there, if I W that.
Yes, you kill him.
Keep going?
Yes. I was about to say, that's why I rewinded. Right here. The moment I W that, I am no longer walking backwards. This becomes this.
And do you ignite early or after? Or like closer to the end? Just like,
Closer to the end, because most of the time they will flash right away if you ignite them, if they're like panic flashers. So you just ignite at the very end. Although he does have W, which will heal him, so it's like a cost-benefit thing. I don't think the Grievous Wounds matters. If you think it does, sometimes it does, then you ignite to deny that. That's a judgment call. In this particular case, I don't think it does, personally. But I could be wrong, so you do your thing. Yeah. I would have auto-queued instead of just queuing. Any lethal tempo stacks you get before queuing is better because you get lower Q cooldown, and also is just like better. Auto reset is better than just auto reset auto. It's just faster because it makes your first auto go on cooldown sooner, so you can auto the second auto faster. Like auto Q auto is faster than Q auto, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we were just walking sideways. I don't know why. He doesn't have any sideways dodgeable skill shots. I think this is pretty important to like internalize. A lot of people might just like skip past that, like it's just kind of self-evident, but maybe it's not, because this is a line. So in your mind, you want to dodge the line, right?
Yeah, right?
But the line doesn't matter. What matters is a little ball.
Man, wow. Just like just pausing it and looking at it, I have my minions right there behind me. I have range right behind him.
Yeah. So that's why I was really shocked.
I still have ignite, like.
Yeah. I'm definitely very, very shocked at this. But you know, that's why it's good to VOD review, because when you watch it in slow motion and then you pause everywhere, you're like, what was he doing? He being myself. I'm like, what was he doing? Why was he? What? I don't understand who that person was or what they were thinking. That's not me. Yeah. So basically, oops, did I pause? I don't know what I did. Did it freeze? Ah, it froze.
Oh no.
Well, let's do it again.
If we look at some of the kind of like closer to like level 5 and 6 when you were trying to tell me you kept telling me to trade with him at some points.
We will. Sorry. Do you want me to speed it up? Are you done with level 3?
Yeah, because I want you to see me play a game.
Yeah. We will, I promise. I just want to make sure that you're equipped with everything you need for that game, and then I won't say a single thing. Okay. So we're here, you go in, and then... Oh wait, shut the fuck up. There we go. Where is it? Right here. Right here. Yeah, so one point, very important, you want to be clicking closer to your character. It makes you more responsive, and you have travel less distance to change directions, and you're just crisper. And this is something I've had to say to a lot of players. Not you, mainly because you didn't play too aggro, so you didn't like do a lot of fighting, but I probably would be telling you this as well if I saw you fight a lot. You just need to be crisper in general. I do too. Like I think everybody should be crisper in their gameplay, and that just involves clicking closer to your character. Try to not move too much away from this general area, unless you want to like buffer an E that is far away or something, right? For the most time, you want to go like this, and then the cancels. You have two notorious ones, right? Like the QE, auto Q, auto QE. Like you need to really maximize those timers. So we just be crisp. Okay, so I think we drove the nail home. Too passive, not good. We could have killed him like 15 times by now. Here again, we could have killed him again. Bad trade there, by the way. This is very important against Silas. You basically just inted here. If you E like this at him, you're putting yourself in the worst position you can be. Because what he wants is to be inside your model for his second E.
Like, doesn't that skill have like a 2-part to it kind of thing?
Yeah. He will have to dash away. So you're right that he'll have to dash somewhere. So this is kind of fine, technically, because the moment he dashes, you can W. But notice the reaction time. That was too slow. You need to W. That is just like...
Well, I didn't have W there, though.
Oh, yeah. So even better. If you don't have W, don't put yourself in a situation where you might need W. You got lucky because of this minion. This is 50-50. To be fair, if I was coaching him, I'd be like, well, you knew that minion was walking, so probably don't E, but like in the heat of the moment, whatnot. But you weren't counting on this minion to save you there. That wasn't part of your plan. You just got lucky. And that's not good. But again, he misses it. I probably would have gone in again. So the way you want to trade against Silas, and after your second game, maybe we can do a couple 1v1s. you want to like start it slightly further away from him. Basically, give yourself enough distance so that you have time to react to the W. All right. Right here, we're thinking of freezing the moment. Do you see how he's hovering top? Read the body language. Do you see how he's like clicking where he's looking? He's already going there. He's already like, in my mind, he's moving. He's going. So.
Follow there? I mean.
Well, let's look. Let's look. I would love to know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they fighting over Scuttle? Is Scuttle dead? I don't know. I have no idea. And this is what I mean by having prio. It's very important for you to know that right now, if you both leave, it's good for you. Do you like understand why? Do you want me to explain it one more time?
It was right there. It's just pushing towards me.
Exactly. By the time like the next wave
By
meets,
the time we come back, it'll be sitting right there in front of me.
it'll be sitting here, and the whole time more minions with it. Yeah, we went over that. Cool, cool, cool. One thing about HP being a resource, good reminder, you being low HP right now sucks. If usually you're outlaning the opponent, they're low HP, you're high HP, you go to that fight with full confidence. Yeah, and then you win the 2v2 more handily. But it's still a high variance play because you don't control your jungler and he could totally end the play. Here, this is fine. I don't want to mess this up. I'd rather just go, even if I'm just hovering and doing nothing. The moment I do this, I'm like, well, the wave is kind of fucked, so do I just keep pushing here? And I'm like, yes, I should probably just hard shove this. But I'm not hard shoving. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm killing these minions. If then I'm just not going to do anything. If I'm not going to do anything, then I don't let them alive. Because then at least these minions take more damage and they might die before he comes back faster, you know? This is bad. Because, why? Did you have a reason? Was there like...
Honestly, there was a lot of points where I was just trying to listen to what you were saying.
Yeah.
So I was like,
okay.
Playing wasn't like 40% of how I would play.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's totally fair. Yep. Okay. I just want to make sure, like, if you have a reason, we can talk about it. Maybe it was a good reason or a bad reason, but like, yeah. So in that case, we don't auto that unless we decide we want to hard shove. But we know he's going to come back and we don't have time to hard shove. So we would just enter the lane. We want to have control of the lane. The more it's pushing towards us, the better it is for us. Because the moment it's pushing towards them, we have to crash it. Right now, he has to crash it. He's like under pressure to crash it. We're chilling. But the moment you like kill too many minions, then we have to crash it. And same thing happens here. You kill so many minions here that if he went to Scuttle, you would have had to follow, and you would be the one losing the minions, which is a huge int. Instead, Lee elects to come mid, which is good. Fine, I guess, because what he wanted was he wanted to chuck him and then go bot. And I want you to like be aware of that. You need to know what how jungle works and what junglers are thinking, so you can like help them, or you can like decide and just plan, just react to the play, right? So this is fine mechanically. Could you have played it better? Auto queue. Ooh, this is very important. Sorry, one sec. Let me. What you do here is very bad. You do not walk there. In what world is he gonna? Yeah. You're not wrong. Maybe 1 out of the 10 times he will dash that way, but like we don't expect him to do that, so we don't do it. We expect him to go that way, so we walk this way.
Autopilot,
yeah.
Click.
Yeah. All good. All good. Yep. So definitely be mindful of every click. So then you have to E instead of auto E, so you lose 1 auto, and then you don't move between autos, do you? Right here. Yeah, you didn't. Oh no, you're good. You're good. Never mind. Actually, after the E, you probably could have clicked right here. Yeah, you didn't click. So after your E, as soon as you press E, I want you to be clicking here, so that yeah.
Like so that I keep moving forward as I
get
out of it.
Okay. Yeah, and then so as soon as that's done, you're moving, and then as soon as you're ready to auto, you're autoing. You would be here by the time you finish the auto instead of here. And maybe, you never know, maybe that's the difference between 1 more auto and 1 less, right? Like over time, shit adds up. So that was very good. Now, you fucked up your lane, unfortunate, but you still have to eat the bullet and move. You either like, oh, I remember here, I was telling you to E on the minion and kill him. I was like, just don't miss that Q. Like, make it guaranteed by Eing at him and like actually killing him, make him flash something, right? Either that or go bot. Don't do this half and half thing where you're like, I'm not helping you, Lee Sin, and also I'm not going to try to kill you very hard. I'm just going to try to kill you a little bit. So here, good to know also. Eventually, you're going to get so good at laning that all of this is like intuition and muscle memory. Your mental stack is freed up to look at other things, such as side lane. Scuttle depends not just on mid, but also the side lane. So in this case, we see that bot backed. If I'm paying attention, I expect Janna to show up here. So my bad for being surprised by that. But you should definitely expect to not be able to contest Scuttle if the side lane gets pushed out. Or if they cheat a recall, because they can do that too. And that cheat a recall takes long. So we go back mid, we're chilling, we did like our due diligence a little bit. Lee Sin's getting a little antsy. I don't like how he's obviously looking for an in, and you're on a completely different page.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he didn't even ping that he was going to go in.
Fair, I agree with you, but imagine you're full muting everybody because you're some challenger nerd. Like, you can read the body language. He's looking. That's what the people call looking, right? He comes back and he's just looking. He's looking. I want to help him look, so I can't like walk in too much to make this guy afraid, but I don't want to be so far away that when he does go in, I can't follow up. I have to E once, I E again, I ignite, and you might want to try a Q. Did you EQ a minion?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't EQ a minion here because it's never gonna come back up. Like, if it's not if you don't already have one stack and you're like, I want tornado, it's not worth to EQ
If
that.
I don't already have one stack, it's not worth.
Yeah, and in this case, hindsight 2020, even if you had one stack, it still wouldn't have been worth because you want to save your Q on the off chance that you can just kill him with Q. But realistically, I would have Q ignited and I would have missed my Q and the ignite would have killed him. So moot point. But sometimes, you'd rather Q than ignite when you can, right? But you didn't have Q, so you can even have done that. All right, so here you shove and you back. Very cool. And do you want to talk about the itemization choice? Do you not?
I've never done that. I've never done that first.
So lethal tempo is mathematically, right? Attack speed is a multiplier. AD is an additive property that is multiplied by attack speed, right? So if you're bringing a big multiplier with you, you want to increase the property that is being multiplied. So just stacking AD early is way more worth damage-wise than getting attack speed. The thing about boots is they used to give you a lot of attack speed, and so they increased your DPS a lot, and they also gave you the move speed. But with lethal tempo, the DPS increase by stacking full AD is better. So if you can buy 3 longswords, go for it. If I can buy 3 longswords, most of the time I will just get a Vamp Scepter and a refillable or like a ward or something. But going 3 longswords is like big balls. Like I'm going, you're dying. I don't even know if the build uses 3 longswords. I don't know. Well, eventually you'll build something out of that other longsword, I guess. But
I think in that situation, it's better to go with longsword than a dagger.
yeah, I think you're right because you don't want to delay the. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You don't even have 3 swords. Yeah, scrap that. But yeah, basically, between a Vamp Scepter and 2 longswords, it depends on whether you want the more AD. Is it more AD? I think it's more AD if you go longswords than Vamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right there, we would have gone 2 long swords and the dagger.
Yeah.
and so you can also do that if you think you want more damage. I personally prefer Vamp just because I think Vamp makes Yasuo like basically full build, just like Irelia, right? Once she gets Vamp Scepter, it's like, because I come back from the old school Yasuo life where if you go top lane, then you have to rush Vamp Scepter or you can't play in top lane, and it just made me realize how OP Vamp Scepter is, because you're decreasing the HP delta on each trade because you're literally healing while doing damage. It's kind of crazy. All right. So right here, he comes back. You take 1 bad trade, so you have to sit back and heal. Lee Sin comes back. Do we see him coming? He does. He pings. Again, right here, I probably would have eat forward right as the minion died, so that's kind of just luck. It died a little too early. You walk backwards, which I don't agree with, and you've kind of been telegraphing that you're a backwards walking kind of guy, so he's going to start queuing behind you, so you walk into it. So switch it up and just dash forward. Because if you dash right there, you'd be here, and then you'd be auto whatever, and then tornado, so maybe you slow him down. He most likely has to run this way. If he runs this way, he's inting, and then something happens. What happens actually ends up happening. I remember I was telling you, Poppy, he's running towards his Poppy, and I needed you to be more aggressive here. So he...
Walk in towards him? So like instead of like...
Yeah, like if ideally you'd be here, right? And then he'd be like, you'd be here, and then there's the ward, and then now the fight is happening here because he gives you vision over here, and Poppy can't do anything over the wall. So I like where we are. The further the fight goes over there in the fog of war, the less safe I feel. And I am still expecting the Poppy to show up, so I'm positioning in such a way that she can't flash E me also.
See, like what my thought process right there was, if I hit that Q, then I'm going in. If not, I don't know where Poppy is, and I don't want to just walk into...
That's fair. That's fair.
Shit on.
I would rather like walk up to him, W, then auto until he E's, and then I EQ, and then I ult, just to what's that word? Guarantee it. And I don't like this because I'm seeing the Lee Sin. I'm seeing he wants to go in. And good ward, by the way. Something I try to keep in mind is that Lee Sin can ward jump. So when you're warding in River, for example, you want to leave it close enough to the wall that you can ward jump to it, for example. Same thing here. So this is a good ward. But yeah, again, you're like 2 flashes away. Yeah. And then he kicks you, or he kicks him. And yeah, that's just mechanical, you know, not to do that.
I kind of, like I said, I don't play Silas, so I wasn't even expecting him to have a list.
Yeah, we saw him steal it. Yeah, we saw him steal it right there. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe he will kick me. Actually, one thing I was worried about was you walking into the bush, him kicking you into the Poppy. But that's what you ward, which perfect. Then you walk backwards, and then he's like, oh, he's not doing that anymore, so now I need to walk this way, right? And you need to like continuously, this is the fun part about Yasuo. Skirmishes, as a skirmisher, is just a lot of like mini games combined into one. And so right here, you dodge and you keep walking. And there's this concept called compensating. Coach Curtis on YouTube coined that term or something, and it's about like how depending on what your teammate is gonna do, you're gonna react to like compensate for what they're doing. Like for example, if you walk this way, he's gonna walk this way, which is what happens here. We're literally compensating for him. By him going this way, us following is like compensating. Does that make sense? The definition.
Right there, I know right there, I remember he goes in.
Yeah.
Guys, and I was like, why did, I'm thinking, why would he chase that?
I agree. And so I don't dislike the fact that you walk away here, because that's like telling him the play is over. Maybe you can even ping him back or something, right? So you walk him back here. But the moment I see him do that, I immediately have to turn around, because the moment he takes that Q, he will get eaten by Poppy out of that bush, because she's in that bush most of the time. And I need to be able to like be as close as possible to here. I would probably like flash Q here and then E over the wall to try and save it. But you're like, to you, the play is dead.
You're dead.
And to be fair, I don't think if you had done what I would have done, I think you would have died anyway without getting the kill. So
like,
at least you didn't die.
Like keep in mind, I'm not playing it exactly fully to how I would play it. I'm like going off of what you say.
Right here. Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
The way I try to play Yasuo, obviously
more controlled, less risk averse.
I don't know what every single champ does. I don't have like a shit ton of experience. So like I try to play it safe, and then I'll go in if I see my jungler roaming and I have it pushed up and he's at scuttle.
Yeah.
I'll come and then I'll get my kill, and then I'm like, okay, well now I can be a little bit more ballsy.
Yep.
I can I have a lead. But when I don't have the lead and I don't know the matchup, I try to just play. I try to be the Yasuo that's not just full on feeding the whole time. I'd rather just staying alive, not feeding him, and then like to get my.
No, yeah, that's understandable. That's completely understandable.
So, that's kind of I'm going towards that.
Yeah, no, that's.
What were you gonna say with this play right here?
Yeah. So get in the habit of autoing when you're melee range, not Eing. Don't E when you're melee range, because it's just gonna make you miss your your EQ more often than not. So right here.
If I hit that, could have been a little different.
Yeah, because you auto, and just get in the habit of autoing people when you're melee range, just to like make them react. Because if you auto, he's gonna E away, and then you can EQ.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And when you E, it's definitely not free. You're locking yourself. You're CC locking yourself for like 0.5 seconds or whatever, which is definitely enough time to land important abilities on you. Think Akali Q, think Lux Q, RE E. It's a lot of Yasuos will feed against good mages. They're like, oh, but I counter mages. It's just because you're CC locking yourself for free. They don't even have to do it. You're doing it for them. So your E is an important ability. You can't just like use it casually. And here, he's still very killable. Like, you walk backwards too much. And he keeps landing these max range, max damage Qs on you because you every time you just walk backwards. And all of these times, if you just keep walking at him, you kill him. Especially if you don't E him there, because you can just kill him with the E.
Tell me if I could E.
Yeah, even here. Do you see here? This was a kill to me. I remember I was asking you if you could Airblade or Beyblade or whatever it's called. Right here. Like, you're way too far back. You should be here. Like, you don't even have to Airblade. I would not have needed to Airblade here. I just EQ, and then I auto. To be fair, you don't have a lot of damage, so it is kind of dicey, and you don't have Ignite. I don't think it actually kills, but I would try it, because I don't know. Does it? I don't know. You can calculate it, I guess. You have like 70 damage on the Q, something. I don't know. But you gotta try shit. Here, probably killable. Anyway. So that's kind of laning in a nutshell. I think first back, level 1, 2, first back is the most important like part of the game. After that, still pretty important, but slightly less. But same thing.
I think that not enough Yasuos want to try to snatching out playing them. Sorry.
No, yeah.
Not enough of them want to limit test.
Yeah, no, it's true. And
Which means like you use a lot of like your potential. It's okay if you're in though, to be honest. Just like learn champ. Once you earn your mechanics on the champ, right, your matchups, your LP will get refunded slowly.
yeah, for sure. That's what I was saying earlier.
Not
That's why you should
necessarily
just limit
inting,
test.
but
Don't be afraid of inting. You're not trying to climb. I promise you are not trying to
I'm
climb.
I'm so close to gold and I've never gotten it, and I know I can get it. And
You have a whole
I
year.
keep throwing
You have a
this.
whole year, right?
Right.
You're not gonna not end gold this season. I mean, if you play enough games, like, I believe. And anyway, I'm not telling you to literally end the games. You're still trying to win, right? But I don't know. I don't know what it's like to, like, you need to know. And honestly, it only takes one death for you to learn that. Like, you're like, oh, well, now I know not to do that again. You know, like, it's not, you're not gonna end that much.
I've played 2 games against them, and I got absolutely shit on because I was playing with friends, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know, every game I went into, I was just fucking.
Yeah, I think it's purely
going balls
mechanical,
deep.
right?
I go balls deep, and like, I don't.
And you don't know.
I got shit on. I got absolutely
yeah.
like, shit on, and I was like, yeah, I need to not do that against.
There is interactions, right? And that's the sad thing about League for all of us, like me and everyone I know, is that the people we're playing against, they're not guaranteed to be playing the matchup correctly either. So whatever conclusions I'm drawing from my matchups may not be the correct conclusion about that matchup in general. It's the correct conclusion for that matchup in my elo or for that player, you know, like, I may think that Echo is a very easy matchup until I play against a Master Echo who like kills me when I'm only at 300 HP. I'm like, wait, Echo can do that? I never knew. And all of a sudden, I just play the matchup differently because now I know that. Because people aren't pushing their champ to the limit. And likewise,
So I was banning a Cali because I had a few games against the Calis, and I won them. I was fine, and then I went against like a good one.
yeah. My friend does that.
Okay, so that's kind of.
He-
I was like, let me get away from that.
He changes his bans every 2 days. Because every 2 days, he will get like stomped by some champ. And I'm like, yeah, he's like, well, now I'm banning this champ. And I'm like, all right, sounds good. Can you ban junglers for me, please? I don't know. Please. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this trade. Like, when you look at this, as soon as you E here, how do you win this trade? How do you lose it?
Well, right there, I'm in the middle of the minion wave, so obviously I'm going to be tanking a bunch of damage. After that, I was just kind of trying, I just wanted to see what I can do. Right
Yeah.
there, honestly.
No, that's fair, because I would go for this as well. But, like, how do I play it to not lose as much HP and to actually win the fight and not just, like, lose? Because you're right.
Assuming win wall the minions, because there's
Right.
kind of,
Going into the fight, there's 2 things we want to win wall. The minion damage and the his E, yep. Knowing that, we're going to need to be a little tricky on where we position our champion to give us the best W angle that can do both. Realistically, it's probably going to be somewhere here. Yeah, and you can win while his ult. Yeah, you can,
I
yep.
didn't know that until like the end of the game.
Yeah. And so you probably end up somewhere here and wind walling in this like general, like the wind wall will look something like this general thing. So then that way you stay inside your wind wall and you're not taking damage. And he eats away and then the trade is kind of over, but at least you won that trade. And if he wants to keep it going. So right here you walk up, which I don't necessarily agree with. I know I keep telling you like how you should always walk up, but like this is a different situation. Now I'm trying to kite back. It's a very dynamic, like it changes. What we want to do changes. Here, this is just, okay, so every time I press control or something, I just freeze my thing. Is that what happens? God damn it. Sorry, I just keep misclicking. I'm a challenger video watcher, apparently. All right, is this recording? Yes? Okay, cool. Okay. Was that here? I think it was here. Or was it after? Do you guys remember? No, it was before.
No, it's probably back. This one I had 6.
Right here. No, is it? No, it's after
That's
this.
when we killed him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right here. Okay. So we go into the trade knowing what our mission is. Our mission is to wind wall the mini damage and wind wall the thing. So we walk here, he walks there. But say he doesn't do that, and I'm actually the type to want to hold my wind wall slightly later, so I'm okay taking mini damage for a slight little bit before it becomes untenable and I have to wind wall. So because I just want to see what he does. Maybe he like E's early or something, and it's good. You go for an E melee range. That's the rule, right? Do not E melee range. You not only E melee range, but you E on him. Zero reason to do that. It's unless you're trying to create distance from him, which I don't think is what we want. It can be what we want if they have the kind of like wind wallable ability that we need to create distance for, so we have time to react to wind wall. But like you said, he needs to dash first before he can do the second E. So he needs to create that distance, and the moment he creates that distance, like if anything, he wants to dash towards us. So if we're in him, the only dash he can do is away from us, no matter the direction, right? So you do want to be as close to him as possible, not E away. So you E. I think this is a misclick. I'm gonna assume it's a misclick. You're autoing a minion. Are you seeing my screen by the way?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you're autoing a minion.
Oh, minion? Oh, yeah, definitely misclick.
Yeah. And so...
Sure that's when I E back. Is it not?
It doesn't look like you're Eing. You're just autoing and then you just get
yeah.
wind walled. You get E'd, yeah. So they're just a misclick, which is unlucky. And even here, I want to auto Q E on this minion and salvage the play. Realistically, do I win it? I'm not sure. He might have Ignite. This is a lot of damage at this point. So you like just back away, and then I guess free lane, jungle diff. We're happy.
Yeah.
So what I wanted you to do here was to shove. I don't remember. I was telling you at some point to shove, and you were like under here, under tower. Do you remember when that was?
Yeah.
It's okay if not.
I think it's after. I think it's after he's dead right here. You were,
No, because I remember he was like sitting. No, I think he was there. He was right there, or Poppy was right there. I think, or someone.
yeah,
I think it might happen a
I was
couple of
thinking,
times.
so
Okay.
once he leaves right here, it's right
Oh
after
no, it's because we were worried about Poppy ganking you, and I was like, Poppy's coming from top, and you need to like shove right in his face. We're not gonna go back to see it, but the idea is if he's here and Poppy was last seen here, like as we speak, right? You have about like 20 seconds, barely, to finish pushing. And if you have enough minions here, and you're just here, you can auto and like finish as much of the way as possible, and then you can just leave. Like he's not gonna kill you just because he's under tower. He doesn't get more damage just for being under tower. You're not planning on hitting him anyway, so being under tower doesn't matter unless like he CCs you under tower. And here I'm not scared. You taking too much damage means you can't kill her, and also the what's his face is coming back, so we don't have time, and she's not gonna let you kill her. But like, she is killable, right? But only if she wants to fight us. Mistake on my part. Very important. Yeah, you're absolutely right that we should have taken the back timer. In my mind, I don't back unless I have to. And most of the time you do end up taking the good back timers because you need to continue getting stronger to keep up with the enemy. In this particular case, we didn't. Like, even a back late, we're still stronger, so I didn't care that much. But we ended up backing anyway on not a good back timer, and so that was my mistake. Because what happens here we do pretty much nothing here for the most part. I'd rather be mid just shoving. You go for a ward that I didn't like, and I commented how I didn't like the ward. So while you go do that, he's almost done shoving the wave. And now there's less minions, and you have less HP, so you gotta let him push, which I also disagree with, by the way. And now we're freezing on him, and immediately, this needs to be systematic. We freeze on him. First of all, my bad for telling you to freeze level 6 and onward. Level 7 plus, freezing becomes basically not worth, and it's only useful if you can't cancel it back, or if you want to deny. Like, it's just not as useful, especially against roaming mid laners. Against assassins that you want to keep mid and keep them from snowballing, because that's what they want. They just want to go to side lane and get their free kills. You need to perma-shove. Perma-shove. So doing this is fine to like bring him over, because most of the time if someone is about to leave and they see this, they're like, shit, I have to go back and fix the wave, right? Because they didn't get a clean crash. That's what they learned. They're like, oh, I need to clean crash before I roam. But sometimes they'll ignore it anyway, especially if you press F4 or F5, you're able to see the fight going on bot lane and it looks super juicy. Yeah. And you're like, oh shit, that fight is going to happen. You immediately, because you froze with only 3 minions, you leave immediately. And you're not going to lose those minions, and he's going to lose all those minions. So you're totally fine to just leave here, especially if you drag them. Oops! If you drag them away the way we did here. Here I'm fine. I'm waiting. The moment I see this, split-second decision: do I shove or do I follow? And following can be good if you look at a bot and you're like, they're committed in that fight. And this is something I can join because the wave is pushing towards me, so I have prio, right? You only have prio in 2 scenarios. The wave is pushing towards him, but it's not cleanly crashing, or you just finished a clean crash. Because when you think about it, doing a clean crash is just the same thing, but like the same thing as the first thing I said, which is the wave pushing towards you, not clean crashing. That's what crashing does. It makes the next wave slow push towards you and not crash. So it's really only one scenario where you have prio. It's when minions are slowly pushing towards you, but not completely crashed. So you immediately go bot, or at least you look bot, then you decide if I want to stay or if I want to go. If it's a scary jungler mid laner situation where you can't follow, which is very common for Yasuo, you're like, all I can do is freeze this to deny him some farm or like shove. But even, okay, very important. Sometimes you see this and you want to shove, and that's fine. But other times, if it's a scary, like maybe it's a set or a Renekton and you fed your ass off that game and it's a Rek'Sai jungle or some shit, like you cannot walk up to your lane even. So this is the only place where you're like somewhat safe. And even then, you can still get blasted from unseen fog or some shit. You never know, right? So in those cases, he could be baiting you. He wants you to like break the shove. If you play against good players, they will literally just sit in a bush just to make you break the shove. And then they show up again. You're like, well, fuck. Now he's pushing and now they're going to freeze on me and I just lost my lane because I hit minions a couple of times. Awful. Awful. So in my mind, I'm being super conservative because I'm a conservative player. I'm keeping the freeze here and I'm going to wait and see what happens. If he commits to the roam and I'm like, now it's too late, I'm never going to be able to make it in time and save it, I try to punish. I crash and then maybe I get a good recall timer or I get a plate or something, right? But then you see this and then it's up to you to decide whether you should follow or do the thing. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
I hope you remember there was a lot of things, but TLDR...
I understand the concept of all that.
Okay.
I mean, keeping the prio there so that he can't leave. Obviously, it's pushed in so he can leave.
Yeah.
But I think...
Like, him leaving is bad, technically. Like, it's bad because he loses this if you both go. So...
It's bad if he doesn't get anything. If
Yeah.
If they listen to the pings and, like...
Yeah. Exactly.
It's awesome for me.
Yeah, for sure.
In this case, we stayed here, and then he just stayed by.
Yeah. Like, I just want you to know that against quote-unquote better players, this is less likely to happen because they're not going to ignore this and go for a 50-50 play that may or may not work unless the play looks really juicy. And if it really looks that juicy, and that means they're committed. And if they're committed, then you have to go too because you're only a few like centimeters after him or something. And then you decide. And this is what I kind of don't like about lock screen is if I was doing this, I would have like been watching the fight the entire time. So I would like maybe get an idea. If I see them like diving and it's my teammates are playing it really well and they're not dying.
Even then, right here, wouldn't it be too late still?
At this point, right now, yeah. Right now it's too late. But even then, I'm not sure because I haven't seen the fight. I don't know what's going on. I'll be honest. Like, I just do not know. Yeah. So we just simply do not know. And this is just a personal failure of mine. I am notorious. This is one of the things I need to work on. I'm a notorious non-mover. I have such low faith in everyone on my team that I just assume they're going to die immediately, and I always say mid and get gold. And to be fair, you do end up getting a lot of gold here, so it's not bad, but you probably could have gotten kill spot. But this is an exceptional case. Most of the time, that's not what happens, but that's why you need to like train your judgment. At least go through decision making so that if you do make the wrong decision, you'll learn. You're like, oh, maybe next time I will make the better decision, right? And it's an ongoing process. Like, it's like TP usage, right? Like, TP is hard to use because you don't know when TP, when not to TP. Even challenger players, like, sometimes they get it wrong. They TP for nothing, right? Sometimes you'll roam, follow roam for nothing. But hey, better safe than sorry or something.
You're right.
It's not an exact science. That's why we're not pro players. But it's a skill to practice. And here, again, I see the fight. I'm like, well, more plays for me. We probably couldn't have gone to the tower even if we start pushing faster, so no big deal. Right here, you start E-ing at the right time. I like that you're E-ing before the second auto. You always want to start moving away before the first auto, not the second auto, so that you're like close to leaving by the second auto.
At this point right here, I know I turned around, and it's because I didn't.
You didn't know the minions.
Yeah, I didn't know the minions moved already.
Even if the minions are still there, you still go this way.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know exactly where Poppy is. I think she was bot side in that play. And also the guy is missing. But I still go this way, either to dash through the birds or just to walk out. So with that in mind, my E is going like this, not like this. Right? I want to E towards this, not a way like that. So right here, I just E again, and then I'm out. Here, you cue him out of your E, out of his E, which is good. Did I freeze it again? I didn't even press a button this time. Bro. Bro.
No.
Okay. I should have checked what time that was.
That was like you just passed it a second ago.
Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, so one thing good to learn, I still fall victim to this.
I didn't even realize there was a level difference here. If you walk through.
No, yeah, man. Like, he's been bought for so many waves. What he did was a literal int. Like, you are stronger than him here. Like,
Yeah.
but I will still run because I'm not sure if someone else is collapsing and I can't fight under tower. So if I make him come here, then maybe there's a fight that can happen.
That's
Or
what I
whatever.
mean.
Like,
If I ran that way, it could have been.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing to know: are you familiar with input buffering?
What is it?
Input buffering.
No.
So when you press a button, here, let's look at your Q for example. Every time you press Q, the little bar shows up. Do you see that?
Yes.
So have you seen Ezreal dashing away from Blistering Hook? And you're like, wow, that hook just fucking fizzled out. That's input buffering. Jarvans do this a lot, where they like EQ right as they're about to get like CC'd, so that they actually go through with their dash as they're getting CC'd. So that's input buffering. You're familiar with what it is, you just didn't know it was called input buffering. So this is what's happening here. I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but you can control that. You can Q later so that you can interrupt his E. Because what happens here is he's basically input buffering his E, so that right now his bar just started and his bar is going, and by the time he gets hit, the bar is still not over. So the CC goes in first, then the ability hits, which is why this goes through. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you need to be very careful about this, because sometimes you're like, well, I'm going to Q him to cancel the thing, but you Q too early, and then you get stunned. Here, it doesn't matter. You get kicked into tower, which kind of matters, I guess. I would immediately flash away like this, and then I'm safe, and he has to continue chasing me, and then I just straight up kill him. But instead, you take more than one tower shot, and then you dash into this. So yeah, just flash directly away. And we learned about input buffering, which you already knew about, but look, it's important. All right. We get first tower. We're mega rich. We were spending a lot of time here not doing much, but we were basically waiting on red for the most part. Here, I'm done shoving, and I want to counter jungle. So I want you, right here, as soon as you're done, you either put a green ward here. Yeah.
Okay.
You either put a green ward here and walk here, because you know birds aren't up, or maybe they are and you just go do them or something. But you immediately, ward or no ward, go straight to a camp. Walking backward here, where am I going? And then you're like, well, I don't know where I'm going. Actually, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. And you're probably listening to me, right? But that's that time. That's that time. Because by now, like right here, we should be done by birds or something like that, right? Like, it's a huge difference when you think about it that way. Birds aren't up. And I've been trying to tell you to just put a green ward here and a red ward there, but you weren't understanding what I was saying,
Yeah,
so it took a little longer.
right.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. But like, that's a good habit to get into. You basically get vision control. You win lane, time to propagate that lane, that win, that advantage, first to the enemy jungle, then to the enemy side lanes. You get control of one quadrant. Now your side laner, in this case your top laner, and your jungler have complete control of what happens here. Because even if you can't actually contest any of the objectives, you at least know that they're there. Like, there are two OP wards. This one sees this, and it sees the entrance to that. And this one sees the entrance to this. So, like, the only way that you don't see them is if they go this way. And the only person that goes this way is the top laner, right? So, ward here. I wait for red buff. And with that ward there, I'm 100% confident that I can do it. Because, like, when I start doing it like this, I'm like, maybe someone is coming that way. Because sometimes they do that. I'm like, I'm not sure. So you walking that way, I wasn't exactly sure, but that's a waste of an auto Q auto, and I'm already feeling kind of slow.
Right there, I wanted to bring it to the bush, so one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They don't know.
I like it.
I also have to plant them to the left.
Yeah. No, totally agree with kiting it towards the bush. It's just that you walked here and then you went back in, and there was no reason to do that. And here we go back and eat our mid wave, and now I tell you to do the little pingies because he has another. He keeps roaming even though his wave is trash because he knows he's gonna get fed because our team is feeders. But here they don't die, and I would love to be able to see what happens before I start walking. So like if I were you, I would have been able to look at this as I'm pinging it, and then as I'm shoving.
F keys to look at laners or.
I try, but sometimes I just use my mouse. Like it's okay to shove slightly slower to get the info. Because right now, and like I would have had time to look at the next wave that's coming and look at them. But I was trying to explain to you what to do, so it took you too long to look at that. But in general, you want to look at the next wave that's coming. Ideally, you should always know. Because it's always like 1-2 cannon, 1-2 cannon until like I think 20 or 30 minutes, then it becomes 1 cannon, 1 cannon. But like you should always keep that rhythm in mind so you don't have to check. But sometimes, you lose track because stuff happens, right? So you just look back to see what the next wave is. And I wanted to know what the next wave was going to be to help me decide what I wanted to do, push or follow. And then I look at this and I'm like, wait, they're under tower. The only way this phase continues is if they get dived. And if they get dived, they win because they're not low HP. Like they're not going to dive them from full HP, right? So I just keep pushing. So I would be like somewhere here right now. I would be able to crash this wave and then do the bot side. But since I'm like always kind of almost here, I'm like, well, let me commit. Maybe they will be crazy and go for the play. But then they kind of don't. And so we lose kind of a wave here and also a camp. And we could have maybe gone top, who knows. So it's fine. Now we're just being safe. But at this point, we're losing. I want to make it clear. The fact that we're like responding to Silas's plays, as he's always one step ahead, is not good. I want us to be dictating the game, the pace of the game. And the easiest way to do that is just by pushing. Because when you push, you force people to respond to you. The fact that every single wave you're taking is here and not here is problematic twofold. One, because you're not creating pressure. But two, because if you do end up dying, you're behind instead of ahead. Like the faster you kill the wave, the more time you have to do whatever, including dying and walking back to the lane, before the next wave shows up. So like if you're dying here, you're still gonna keep that 10 CS a minute. Like the Inting Scion, the Baus FFS, right? It talks about good deaths and whatnot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, actually, I think I saw part of that video.
Yeah. It's just like, if you die pushed up, I think Caps was another one he made a video on, Mid-Beast. He was like, or maybe it was Skill Cap or something. They're like, yeah, Caps limit test, and he like dives, and even after he dies, because he like finished the wave, when he gets back, he just gets the wave back, because he doesn't miss it, because he actually pushed the wave before dying. It's just due diligence. So here we're again failing to respond because we're slow on the uptake because there's a lot of that time. I just want us to be like, we need to get the waves before they even come to us. We need to go to the waves. Like, to me, being here was good. In hindsight, it would have been better to just push, but like there was nothing wrong with doing that because we could have gotten something out of it. You just never know. You can't know. But then I want us to push this faster so we can be top again. And like, we haven't been able to help a single play. And this play went on for so long. We had time to back and walk, and we were still wondering if we should. So that's something you and I both need to get better at, just being more reactive. And that starts with having prio. If you're just always pushed up, you can react faster. And this is what should have been happening the whole game. Just killing him on repeat, ideally. But it is what it is. And here, now it's all macro. Do you have any questions about the game so far?
No. Not right now.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay, macro.
Okay, so
Yep.
right here,
Yeah.
this is when you were telling me, you were like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, I went to, get that, but that Janet kind of screwed me.
Yeah.
And then was kind of screwed, but...
Yeah. You're like, why tell me to do this?
So why wouldn't I... Because I watch videos, and I watch coaching videos.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing they say is, Yasuo should always be in a side lane. I should always be... So, like, right here, I could be bot. I could be farming bot. But...
You're a top laner, you play Tryndamere, you know how to split push. Let's talk about split pushing in general. So, like I said at the very beginning, before we got in game, we were talking about split pushing, and now it's about creating pressure. You create pressure over time. You being bot doesn't immediately translate into pressure. It becomes pressure once you're pushed up and you can threaten things. The pressure comes from the threat that you pose in the side lane. The threat to lose CS, because if no one is catching that minion gold and XP, then...
Sense. Like it's like if Janna is sitting at her tower just pushing it. I mean, she's not, nobody's
Yeah.
worried about that. She can't.
Yeah. And so you going mid to compensate for your to the side lane, to compensate for your team getting picked, is not going to do anything. Because like, you're going to get a wave or two, sure. By the time you get to tower, they will be there. Like, you're not going to trade anything by doing that. If you do want to capitalize on your team getting caught, you need to be bought about like 30 seconds ago. So like after this wave right here.
One person might have came to me and it could have been a 3v3.
Yeah, do you see when they back here?
Yeah.
You could just easily be like, they're going to come back and go mid, so I'm going to go bot. But they just crashed their wave. It was not a good crash, unfortunately, because people are lazy, but also it's kind of scary to clean crash sometimes. I die a lot trying to clean crash, so I don't blame them for not doing that. The concept of semi-split pushers, you have like dedicated split pushers, like Tryndamere maybe, Yorick for sure, Sion. They just perma push, the whole breaker kind of pushers. Trundle, right? Semi-split pushers like Yasuo, they go, push it up all the way to here, then they go mid, and then when the wave bounces back all the way to here, they go catch it. And then they push it all the way back here, and then they go back mid. And you just keep doing that. That's the cycle of your mid game most of the time. That's your mid game cycle. And then what that does is it creates a man advantage, because when you leave,
since that's already pushed up, and then
theoretically, someone is supposed to go catch that wave. Like, they're being bad for not collecting that wave, but like, you take the W. There's nothing more to be done. Like, yes, mission accomplished. We deny them a wave, right? And not only one wave, but then since they don't fix this, it's going to slow push. So they're going to lose one wave, then two, then three, until it hits here, and then you get 4 waves worth, and they get 0. And then you do the same thing again, right?
Yep.
So this is fine. You're waiting for your mid lane, your bot lane to come mid with you, and you're waiting for Yorick to start exerting pressure. Right now, he's split pushing, technically, like, but he isn't exerting pressure yet. It takes time to walk to the lane. It takes time to push the wave. It takes time for people to notice and to start moving. All of that takes time. So he's not going to be able to take this tower for another like 1 or 2 waves. Probably 2 or 3 actually. Also here you didn't auto and you didn't airblade.
Yeah, I didn't know if I had time. I usually do auto.
Yeah, I want you to try it. I'd rather you miss ults than...
Yeah, I didn't know if I could walk up
Yeah.
fast enough to auto him, so I just went for it.
Yeah, definitely try. I don't care. Like, sometimes it's a little too important of a fight, and you're like, I'm still trying to hit gold. Like, I'm not going to int my LP away, but, like, try. Just try it. If you think, I'm not sure, I think it might work, try it. If you know for sure it's not gonna, then obviously don't try. But you know, just be more trying. So here it says fine. Is it... actually, we probably could have done birds. After we do this, right here, we already got the wave. And I'm seeing that this is here. Like, regardless of whether this cleaning crashes or not, I'm not going to be able to do anything there. So I'd rather move directly to birds. With my Q here, I probably would have queued him like this. I would already be here, so I'd queue like this. Then I'll walk up here and then just do birds right here in this little space. Instead, even if that hits, why?
Yeah.
Right? And so we come here, she smites it. No big deal. At least we made her smite it. Now, you're thinking of going bot, which is the correct play in a world. In a world where every single person or your team isn't garbage, that is the play. Because what you want is a 1-3-1. You win this game 100% of the time if you play the 1-3-1 correctly. Because they cannot respond to both you and him at the same time. And with the 3 mid, they literally don't know what to do. They're like, do we send 4 people or 5 people to fight mid? Do we send 2 or 3 here and only 2 to hold here? Do we send 1-1-3 and match? Because if we do that, over time, we just lose the minion damage to tower. Like, and then you can decide if you're, as a as a semi-split pusher, you can't actually threaten the wave, the tower when someone is there. So while they're catching the wave, because you're ahead in tempo, because you pushed up the wave, you can just go to mid, and now it's 4v3 mid, or 4v2 mid, right? And maybe you can dive, maybe you can push them, force them off the tower, and just get the tower for free. And you're also getting vision control everywhere. And you always have prio, and you get lots of picks because of all the vision control. And you get all the objectives, and all the towers. And you win the game. Big if, you play the split push correctly. Which is why the NA comp, whether it's LCS or in NA, is fucking Orianna, Vex, and like Gragas, Annie, Malphite, like MF, you know, like the team fight, Kennen, Fiddlesticks, you know, like block 5-5 and kill everything. Because if that's their comp right now, the enemy team, and we're trying to be all fancy with 1-3-1, literally all they do is walk down the mid lane and kill whoever's there. And then we're like, ah, shit, we have to push faster. Oh no. So the reason why, when you're pinging bot, you're not actually going bot, is because look over your temp benches. You seen the minimap? Yeah. We're like, well, we cannot let that happen because our priority right now, our win con, isn't to create pressure, which would take another like 20 seconds, but it's to make use of Yorick's pressure. And ideally, this is the biggest mistake we've made, is right here, after we finish pushing this wave, it's not pinging them back. We need to be pinging them back. Do you see how they're moving up? We need to be pinging them back and not letting them walk up there. And here you're like thinking of fighting, you're like, ooh, Ezreal, he's gonna E away, you're never gonna kill him there. And now...
If they were gonna fight, so I wanted to get in.
Yeah, for sure, no, I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't dislike at all that you're there either, because we saw that Wukong was topside. I don't know if you remember, but we just saw him in this war like a couple seconds ago. We know that he's either gonna go top or bot. We weren't paying too much attention, so we didn't see which direction he like left the vision from. But we're worried that they're gonna force an engage on us. So we need to read the team's body language. And right now it's hard to read because they're fighting. So I'm just waiting. She's hovering. If we're really careful, we're like, she's kind of walking up here. Could be sus, I'm not sure, right? I'm just like waiting to see what happens. So bot is obviously off the table here. Because whether they collapse on the top lane or they collapse on mid, us being bot isn't gonna do anything productive. Unless we've been doing this for the last like 30 seconds already. I'm thirsty. Alright, so I don't like this positioning here though. You're too far back, and if they do end up engaging, you won't have time to like walk up. So by the time you walk up, Jinner's already dead.
Yeah.
This is like if you've been pushing the entire time and you just came back from bot. This is the same result, right? What's the point of staying here the whole time if you're going to be so far away that you could have gone and pushed and come back and you still live in late? Right here, does she get knocked up? Unlucky. Unlucky. Yeah. It looked like she did, but she didn't, which is why she was able to do this. If she does, then yeah, going for the EQ is valid. If you see that she didn't get knocked up, actually, Jin died a little too quickly there. Do I still go for this fight? I think I do. I think I do. Yeah. I totally go for this fight. Because whether it's an ult...
It's a 3v...
It's a 3v4. 3v5, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4... 1, 2... Am I crazy? Yeah, it's 5. Okay, yeah. Yeah. No, we win it because the only person that does damage to you here is Wukong and Sylas. And Sylas already did his combo. And Wukong already did his combo. And these two should be useful somehow. Like, you have shield bow. Like, to me, this is a winning fight. So it's 45, I'd rather not fight, but also I know I can salvage the game. I'm Yasuo, I need to put on my big boy pants and carry these fuckers. Like, I need to take losing fights and turn them into winning fights. That's why I'm playing this champ. So unluckily,
good until she pushed me back.
yeah, once this happens, refresh, new calculation. Now what, right? You don't just like keep doing what you were doing. Yeah, actually, yes, absolutely right. You're like, well, now what? Because right now, I am no longer going in on them. Now I am running away, right? I'm like, I cannot walk up and do things. Everyone is turning. What the fuck is this? Why does he look like this? He looks like a fucking cartoon. This is a fucking cannon looking. He's a gun. So we like, do not do what you're doing here, which is E forward. And if we do E forward, we do not stay static. Have you played a lot of like Yasuo 1v1s or something like that?
No, I've never done.
You should see how fucking hard it is to click on people when they're dashing all over the place. You think landing skill shots is hard? Landing point and click abilities is hard when you're dashing that much. It's crazy. You are a mobile champion. Use your mobility. Right here, I kite backwards. I wait for these two to do something because realistically, just like minions, human beings will aggro on what they perceive as a threat. So if you go towards them, everyone is ganging up on you. If you go away, likely Wukong can turn and chase the other two. Sylas might go for you, might not. So you want to like shed the number of the enemies you're gonna have to fight. You don't want to fight all of them at once because you're a skirmisher. You're not like an all-in. You want little skirmishes. You want to take this little 1v2, then another 1v2, and then just keep things. Because you want this to last as long as possible. I don't care if we all die, because we're going to get an inhib. Although, technically, we don't actually want the inhib, because it's 18 minutes. So right here, sorry, I keep rewinding, but right here. You don't walk away, you E right here. You got to E again. E this way.
It ended up being way closer to the Tom Kench.
Yeah, you E this way, and all of a sudden, you W, and it's just this guy or something. Or maybe you don't even W because something. Instead, you stay so long that you lose half your HP, and then you flash. And then you don't commit, so you actually W before flashing, so your W is useless. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is what I mean, right? You always want to create distance between you and the enemy, because if you're melee range, then your W is never going to be good.
Yep.
So just like in lane against Sylas, you need to be slightly far away, because your W is going to move to like a certain distance away from you, like a Q range almost. So if you flash W, here you W'd behind them, basically. It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so Lee Sin died a little too quickly. My bad. I'll be honest. In my calculations, he's not supposed to die that quickly, but I think you may have baited him. Oh, to be fair, I think we baited him. He took that Q because you didn't flash away and stuff, and also he's bad. He's the type of player to just take all the Qs. And here you didn't have wind wall, so you die as well. But I mean, technically, we did what we wanted to do, which is allow Yorick to split push. We made it last long enough for him to get what he wanted. Unfortunately, he wanted an inhib, and he got an inhib at 18 minutes. I'm fine with this. It's silver. Like, I don't care about Sylas getting 900 gold in 5 minutes or whatever. It's not 900 gold. It's probably like 800 or something. I don't know. But because in my mind, we can now force shit elsewhere. But it puts the pressure on me. I'm like, now, for these next 5 minutes, I am not allowed to die, and I am not allowed to make a single play that goes wrong. Because any that time is time that they get to free farm and we don't. So we literally need to like be actively getting map gold somewhere else on the map for this inhib to be worth. Otherwise, this is a pure loss. Like technically, trading Baron for inhib, if the inhib team gets to farm every inhib wave, is even, right? Like you need to make something with that trade. You can't just like... So here, I see that Yorick wants to go split push bot, which is understandable. He does not have... Oh, he does have Hull Breaker. So we do want to let him bot, and I want you next time to just walk this way. It's less safe, but we have vision here, and I don't remember what was happening in this game, but I'm very confident that there's at least one person going top, meaning whoever ends up here, I'm not too scared about. Game, depending on the game, right? If it's like Rek'Sai, I'm like, I don't know, right? Like, depends on the champion. If they have scary champs, exercise judgment, basically. But basically, this is faster, because you can come this way, and then you go on Ezreal, you can dive or something. I want us to pressure mega, mega hard. I don't like that Lee Sin is here. I'm not being a team captain right now. I'm not setting the pace. I'm not telling my team what to do. I'm not telling them to back before they get engaged on. I'm not telling them to engage. Here, I'm not ulting. I don't know why. Because he said it was a clone. Yeah, he said it was a clone. Which, well played, because I totally would have ulted. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He stopped moving right before he got hit. But now the fight started. I want you to cue that clone so you get your tornado here. Nice, perfect. Now I wait. I see that their silence is top. I'm looking to fight. Even though Lizzie isn't here, we're supposed to win this. So we're just gonna move and like, what's it called? Siege bot, because that's the play. But my camera shouldn't be locked on me. I should be watching the fight. Because right now, looks like they're all collapsing on him. And then when I look at the minimap, I see that Poppy came from the side, which I missed. Yeah. So right now, I am no longer walking towards the lane. Now I'm walking here. Because I want to be here to like keep my options open.
Looking at the map. That's literally
Yeah.
just me not looking right there.
Yeah, I want to keep my options open. Because the good news is, even though Lee Sin is a fucking inter and he's not with us because he wants his fucking blue buff because he thinks it's still farming phase and not mid game where we have an inhib down and we need to like do shit or else we're gonna lose. It's still a 4v4 because of the inhib, because there's some on top. So this is a fight we should be willing to take. And Wukong wasn't that fed yet or something, but instead you're so late that they get to go on the Temp Kench. To be fair, he kind of get popped. So if you were there, maybe you would have died right away as well. We're not sure. We'll never know. But ideally, you want to...
Right here, you were telling me... I remember right here you were telling me to go, and then I didn't...
Because what happens here...
I didn't even know who to go into right here.
Yeah. I don't know. I just mean, like, play the fight. Do not play the fight. Like, play the fight. So if I am you here, what do I want to do? I see this. I'm like, well, shit. First, I move the camera down. I want to see more. The fact that the camera was there was not good. I want a better picture here. I don't even know who was where. Right now, once I'm here and everyone's dead, the fight is over. I see a Jhin, and I see a Lee Sin. I want to kite towards the Lee Sin or towards the Jhin, depending on what happens. So right now I'm just walking here and waiting, because me being here splits them in half. So they're gonna decide. You want to create situations where they have to make decisions, because people aren't good under pressure. They don't know that, like, they're more likely to make a bad call if you force them to make a call, right? So here they can decide to go on him or on you. What is the wrong decision? I don't fucking know. I'll be honest. I just want them to decide on something. To me, either case is better, because if they go on me, I can just leave, and then he's safe, and he doesn't die, and then he can maybe ult or something while we fight with Lee Sin. I guess he doesn't have ult yet. Or they go on him, and I immediately cut these guys off. Because they're not going to chase me, because they don't think they can kill me, so they're just going to go on him. So I need to pressure them, ideally from this side somehow, so that they move towards my Lee Sin. But if I like go this way, realistically they're just gonna go down, and it's gonna be hard to like chase them. But I'm gonna try my best, and then they're gonna kill him, and then it's gonna be another 4v2, and then the play will be dead, and so I'll just have to leave by the time he dies here. Does all that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have to think that far ahead, right? But that's kind of like what I mean by you reframe every few seconds. There's a new situation that is like proposed to you, and you're supposed to like make sense of it. So right now I'm in like running away mode, and they choose to come after me. I don't wind wall that. Say I don't have the reaction time. That's acceptable. I need to W here.
Was that a slow from who?
Janna. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know she had a slow.
Yeah. So this is her main ability.
Only CC I know she had was her ult in the NATO. I didn't even know she had a.
Yeah. Well, now you know.
Yeah.
And right here, I know they have no more CC, but I know Poppy is coming, and I know I don't have flash. And if Poppy comes from here, she gets an easy E angle. And if I keep running this way, and I keep getting slowed by shit, she will catch up to me and she will E me here. So my only realistic option is going this way. So you do win wall. You do go in. You actually E out, which was amazing to me because she didn't just press E on you for some reason.
Yeah, I eat away for the wall.
But you EQ. You could have, right here, queued all 4 of them into a tornado and airbladed and EQ'd these 2. I don't think you'd have killed, but this could have been your tornado. Instead, it's a regular Q. And so you die. So we'll never know if you could have at least straight killed.
And it's because I missed that EQ.
Also, Lee Sin had ult. If you actually landed this tornado, Lee Sin could have potentially just ward hopped and ulted. Yeah, or something, you know? Like. So yeah. Yorick being a bad split pusher sucks. But it is what it is. So right here they get Baron. And at this point, we failed. It was our mission to carry. Now we're no longer in the carry position. We already like failed a couple of times. We died 3 times, but I'm only counting the last 2 deaths as the meaningful ones. And since we're not on split pushing duty, the most we can do is, especially since there's an inhib here, the most we can do is hover between this and this, looking for a play. Because by the time Dragon is a thing, inhib will no longer be a thing. So this is the only play we get. My mistake. I 100% of the time tell you to go save the Yorick here. I think it's the most obvious play. Him having Hullbreaker doesn't mean we're not allowed to go help him, because we're not able to push anywhere else. That's his fault for getting inhib too early. Like, what you should do is ping him back on the inhib and just say to inhib too early or something. And then if they do it...
Getting inhib too early, actually, I don't understand that.
So what is inhib? What is inhib?
It brings the super minions, and I do know that it does give more... I think you get more gold off of those, right?
They sure do. I mean, you get the super minion that gives you 90 gold, and then, you know, it's the regular 6 minions.
Yeah.
But also, you are never going to farm that lane again until
So you can only go bot.
inhib comes back. Like, who on the enemy team is going to spend like 4 minutes or like whatever? Well, I guess it's like a minute or whatever. 2 minutes, maybe. Basically pushing the first cannon wave, super minion wave, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. Like, if someone wants to go ahead and spend all that time there, thank you. Thank you for being dumb, because now it's a 45 somewhere else on the map. Most people only wait for this to come here, and then they go catch it, and they go somewhere else. At most, they push 2 in a row, so that it gives them enough like time buffer to make a play and go back and catch the rest, right? So why do we take inhib? We take inhib because it unlocks the nexus. You cannot hit the nexus if you don't take an inhib.
Right.
It's a cost. It just so happens that it's kind of a trade-off. It's a built-in comeback mechanic. It's like, if you want to keep winning, you can use the super minion wave to push harder, or you can go somewhere else and push something else with this pressure you create in this other side lane. But if you don't do anything, then now they just get to farm a lot, and you don't get anything. And so now they're back in the game. So do not get inhib before you're ready to get it.
Yep.
So
One break inhib when there's an objective coming up like Baron.
So
They have pressure at top lane.
with that context in mind, the main idea behind inhib is we do not get inhib before at least 20 minutes. And realistically, it's more like 22 to 24 minutes. Because the main reason you want to take inhib is to help you get Baron more easily. And even then, it's not worth it, because most of the time you will not be able to coordinate your team properly to make use of the inhib to make the Baron like a secure sealed deal. Most of the time, the inhib will be there, but we won't wait for the minions to push, so we'll have to fight a 5v5 at Baron that we might lose, or they might seal it. And then they got the minions from the inhib, and they also got Baron. So I'd rather we take Baron first, and then we start working on the inhibs. I don't like inhibs. I want the enemy to take my inhibs so I can farm more, because I'm a farming champ. But that's honestly not that good. I'm not, that's just personal, not coaching. Do not let them, although this is a great point. If you're on the enemy team right now, and Yorick is literally like inting to get your inhib at 18 minutes, let him. Like if you're playing ranked 5s, because I know in solo queue they think you're trolling, and they're like, no, no, no. It does happen sometimes. In like a plat game or something, you're like, just let him take the inhib, it's 18 minutes. And then everybody just lets him take it. And then you just get free gold, and they can't do anything about it. Because like at 18 minutes, 2 minutes of that is waiting until Baron spawns. And then after another 3 minutes, or 2 minutes or whatever, the inhib respawns. And most of the time, people aren't able to pressure a 20-minute Baron, unless they're like super ahead, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, what were we talking about before this? Okay, did that answer your question about Barons in the first place? Or inhibs?
The inhib, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't want him, yeah, so if, ideally, if you're a team captain here, you ping him off the inhib so he doesn't take it. If he ends up taking it anyway, well, you're still the carry, you have to adapt. A good carry adapts to the situation. Here, my bad, I think I bait you into getting caught. Let's talk about this. We're farming, we see that Yorick is bot, 3 people are collapsing on him. We go here, we see Poppy. Silas is no longer top. We see Silas leave. Which way do we see him leave? I don't think we see because there's no vision there, just a minute. Yeah. So we can't see which way he left. We have 2 wards. What I do here is I EQ on this and I ward here. Silas is here, right? We see him. So that's good. I EQ here, I ward. I do my little birds. I do my birds. And if I had warded here, I see him walk up this way, and then I'm not surprised. So the same thing I told you, like, what was it, like 12 minutes ago, the first time around? You come here, you ward here, then you ward there.
Yeah, when you told me that ward, I didn't even understand. I understood the top right one.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand when you said the ward, the 2. I didn't really get that.
Yeah. Nice, well now you know, yeah. If you can, ward this one first, and then if you have another one, ward that one. Usually this one is reserved for control wards during the landing phase. Mid-game, you have 2 wards, you use them, whatever, right? Even if you have a red, that's a good spot for red. I wouldn't red it right now, though, because we have no control over here. And I want to be setting up plays bot side, so I would rather deny vision bot side. But yeah, so this is kind of unlucky. We should have seen him coming. But even here, so how do we play this one? He goes on us. All we can do is auto Q auto, auto Q auto. I'm just autoing. Perfect E to dodge the Q there. Here, I got a Q immediately. But if I don't Q immediately, then I remember I'm telling you to land it or something. It's just, you know, it's unlucky. Like, you either land it or you don't. What can you do? One thing to note, actually, is he's playing this pretty well. What he wants to do right now, when you do the tornado up, is to just walk, like we said, right, perpendicularly. So this is what he does. And all he's going to do is be doing this. So if you walk at him, theoretically, you can get a couple more autos off. And your Q was going to last long enough for you to walk up, maybe get a few autos until he eases again. And then you can QR as he eases. But anyway, here you're just going in circles. You don't W here.
See if I can, like,
yeah, you never know. Yeah, it's not bad. Like,
go.
yeah, because maybe if you run down to Jin, maybe he catches up to you, you still die.
So
yep. Yeah, the ward was good. The ward was good. You should have done it earlier, if anything. But here is just reaction time. Like, there's no world where he should hit this max range E on you. I don't think that should be happening. So try not to let that happen. But there's nothing to be cautious about. It's just don't get. It's just mechanics, right? So it is what it is. My bad though. I kind of baited you into that one. But yeah, we ward as we like encroach. You know, it's like trench warfare. We like push inch by inch. So we secure this first, then we secure that. And here the game is kind of lost. We didn't get anything off the inhib, and we're definitely on the back foot. But we're not behind enough that we're getting bounty. So like the game is still pretty even. So how do we win it? I'm asking you.
Right here, I'm assuming we would wait till Yorick applies pressure right here.
You're absolutely correct. This is an exact copy of the last fight we did where Janna ulted you, right? The only difference is he's not actually there yet. But once he's there, that's all you can do. Because we already de-pushed this lane. So I remember I was telling you how this was going to end up into a big wave here. Let's just like see what that's going to look like. Oh, actually Yorick ends up going there anyway. Because I guess he decides that he doesn't want to take inhib again. Whatever. Now is a good time to take inhib, but whatever, man. So we see Poppy going only Sin. We don't actually look at the fight until it's too late. That's fine. He goes back in. He dies. Could we have saved that? We're here, and then she shows up. We're here a little too long, I will say. I'm kind of... You might die more doing this, but this is what I mean by pressuring. I want to be pushing the waves.
There, I was trying to show that I wasn't on... I was trying to not show myself on the map when I was...
Oh, it's fine. It doesn't matter where you are.
Gotcha.
if anything, I want you to show mid and shove the fuck out of the mid lane. I want you to make them come to you mid and then just run away and waste their time. That's what I want you to do. But here,
Why'd he go in?
I don't know, man. He's...
I understand if he ulted right away, but he didn't even... Oh, wow. I didn't even notice he went in like that.
Yeah. Here, what we decide is we look quickly as we auto queue here. I do a quick little click on the minimap to see what that looks like, and then I press space to continue fighting, and then I hover the map a couple of times just to see if I want to keep chasing this or if I want to run away.
I knew not to go for that because Salas was circling around right there.
Yeah, like I don't know if that's a problem for me, right? Like I haven't decided yet. I don't know if that's... Maybe I still do it anyway, right?
I see right there, I see Salas coming, so I just...
Yeah, at this point, yeah, it's kind of dead. But if you did it more aggressively and you just like eat this way and walk this way, and you'd be here, and then you see Silas, you're like, do I still fight this? Do I not? Because I know I have Jin, I know I have this guy. Obviously, they won't make it in time, but like, I wanna outplay, because like every time I'm not being useful, like I'm just letting them do more shit. So now they're mid. They killed the Lee Sin for free. We didn't trade. And now there's a Warwick and the Wukong. And we saw him on the camera, and this is completely my bad. And look at our fucking... Do not be this guy. You're a top lane main. You're going to be split pushing. Commit to the split push. Especially if you have Hull Breaker. Commit to the split push. Once you're here, you're here. Commit. Especially if you... Like, you're not going to save this. All you're going to do is back and watch them take inhib. And you can't stop that from happening. And this is my bad. As Yasuo here, you need... It's you and him. You're the high value targets, right? You cannot give them a bundle deal. Never make it easy on them to get both of you. Always make them choose. I remember there was a fight later where I tell you to stay away. Yeah, same thing here. Same thing here. I just wasn't paying attention, and so he comes from behind us, and it's our bad because even though the support is supposed to ward, we also have wards that we didn't use defensively. We should have had the foresight and put some vision in our jungle because we know they're going to come and siege us. Because that's just what happens when they have the push advantage. They just siege us and we stay under tower while our Yorick split pushes. So we should have prepared for that with some defensive wards. So this happens and I tell you to go forward. And you ask me, what did you mean by forward? Here's what I mean. Right now, with your wind wall, you can turn this 3v, 4v, 5v3, 5v3 into a 3v2. Yeah. With one wind wall, it's like you just hide these people. I'm like using my hand, but you can't see me in real life. I'm using my hand to hide them from the screen. It just turns into a 3v2. And when you do that, when I hide it with my hand, it looks kind of dumb by them. There's these two dudes diving us in between our two towers, and I'm like, what are they doing? And for that split second, while your wind wall is up, it is good until the wind wall dies, and then it's no longer good. But the wind wall lasts long enough for you to make shit happen. So we need to be proactive.
So wouldn't I want to go on the squishies right there?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You have your first Q. You immediately, out of flash, this is so scary. I'm so glad you didn't, like, you got to keep your flash. You walk this way, which is actually pretty good. You still get knocked up, actually, huh? Which is fine, honestly. Right here, you need to immediately... I wasn't watching. I would have played this bad because I wasn't watching. Because right now, the first decision...
I wouldn't fast enough to what you were saying anyways. I would have
yeah.
so confused on all of it. It's hard to do what you're saying in the moment.
Yeah. Right here, I think... Yeah, I just walk forward. I am not threatened by any of these people in front of me. Like, the only thing that can happen is this guy can stun me. But I have wind wall. And I'm going to be here. And the wind wall is going to be in the way. And he might still like E this way and do something, but I feel like he's tunnel visioning on this. So let me see. If I unpause and I walk here, yeah, you're just going this way. I don't like it.
Yeah, I E for damage and not worth.
Yeah, and then again, right? When you E, you CC lock yourself. So he just like presses his thing because you E.
Yep.
I would E this way. I auto queue. I don't even E yet, right? I'm just auto queuing and waiting because the wind wall makes it so he doesn't exist. So I'm just here. This is my fight right now. This is my fight. I'm auto queuing her. I'm not moving back like this. I'm just auto queuing her here. She's moving.
So I shouldn't have even E right there. I should have just kept staying right there next
to yeah. Oh yeah. Right? I think I put this in this. You probably didn't see it because there's so many messages. But like 3 uses for the E. Gap close. Dodge. And I always forget the third one. It's not damage. Damage is like a distant force that I don't even consider. Yeah, yeah. Like basically, it's about controlling space. You create your. In this case, you're not dodging anything with your E. You're not using it to get in range to attack people.
So I shouldn't even use it.
Yeah, I don't know why I E here.
Okay.
I just auto. She probably ends up living realistically with 1 auto's worth of health while I'm here, and then I have to decide. And I most likely just EQ this guy, and I auto ult, because I'm not good enough to actually auto airblade ult.
Yeah.
And then I have to like actually auto Q, probably auto ignite after he like flashes somewhere, but with red buff he's slow, so it should be fine. Worst case I flash on him and I kill him. And then she lives with a little bit of HP. And then I just proxy. Like I kill this guy. This person dies or doesn't, it's fine, whatever I guess. Then I just literally walk down the mid lane and take as many minions as I can and just keep walking. Maybe I can like escape somewhere. Maybe I like something happens, but basically I have saved many towers and inhibs just by walking forwards when shit like this happens. Like your team will be getting caught somewhere, you're like, well shit, I know I can't save that fight, so I'll just literally kill the minions. And they will chase me for a good like 20-30 seconds and my team is back up. And we literally lose nothing of that fight. You need to be more forward. You're just be more. It's like low key we were AFK this game. Like we didn't have an impact. Like I know you felt that too, and I was trying to figure out how to have more of an impact. And it starts with very micro. Like you're not doing big impact things like killing people or like pushing towers. You're literally just being forward. You're just pushing waves earlier rather than later, right? It could be as simple as that. You gotta start somewhere. Yeah, actually we would have killed her probably. Anyway, so yeah.
I ignited her.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great. Yeah, so if I'm here, after this auto Q, I'm not getting E'd here, I'm chilling. He has his E still. Yeah, this is the big thing. This is what I didn't want to happen. If you walk forward, you don't get hit by this. Like in my mind, the threat is behind me here, right? I'm like, I need to move away from the 2 people that knocked me up, which is these 2. So right now, if I'm here, I'm super happy. I'm super happy fighting this. I just want to be far away from this. And what I really need is for Tahm Kench to eat the Jhin and make this last as long as possible. Instead, he gets CC so I can't even eat him. And then he motherfucker flashes away instead of eating you. Oh, I can't, man. But yeah, imagine you kill her and you kill the Ezreal and you clear like 3 of these minions and now you're on this tower here. And also imagine that Yorick is fucking pushing bot right now instead of backing.
Yep.
Imagine. Just fucking imagine. So anyway, it's a lot of imagining. Not a whole lot of winning, just a lot of imagining. So right here...
How at the end of the game could have won. He just... Man, wanted to save ours. It's crazy.
It's so dumb.
Might as well just taking the
Why is he playing Yorick? Why is he fucking playing Yorick, dude? Ah! Anyway, it's... Right here, our bad, again. We see him coming. Right now... Did I... Oops. Right now, we need... I think we do, because realistically, he's being a dumbo. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I have this good engage angle, let me... But no, you don't. We collapse on it. What happens is the fucking Yorick stops split pushing again to TP! This is the 2nd time he could have ended the game!
Oh my god.
I'm so tilted, dude. He's literally trolling. I bet you he was like autofill or something. There's no way this is a Yorick player. I've never seen a Yorick player that doesn't like pushing. It's insane. And like...
I mean, you got pretty close to ending right
Yeah. And also here, we could have won this fight, by the way.
So
right here.
What happens? So
Right here. The moment this happens, right about here. Ideally, the camera is a little more this way, by the way.
Yeah.
So I can see what Silas is doing. Because again, my decisions depend on the environment. I'm adapting. You're a skirmisher, you adapt. That's all you do. Other champions, they have their set game plan, like Flash Ult, Annie, or Malphite or something. Yours is adapting. You have to decide based on circumstances. So right now, I'm looking at Silas. If he follows up on this engage, it's a good engage by the Wukong. If he doesn't follow up on this engage, Wukong is inting. So I see
Doesn't
he walks slightly away, but I want to see what he does. Does he have his E? Does he? Because I want to be able to like what's it called? Tank the ult on the Wukong. Because there's two things that Wukong is gonna do. If you walk up to him, he's gonna EQ you, and if you actually cut that distance, he won't actually hit the Jhin. So you're setting up your Jhin for success here. Or he will like EQ you and then move to a place where he's in between you two and he's gonna R, right? So you need to be very like good about this, where you like make sure you don't get knocked up too close to this wall where people can attack from over, but you also make him ult. Like, I don't want you walking backwards if Silas is following up, but I think Silas is following up, so I'm no longer sure. Here, I am not moving this way. This doesn't help me with anything. I'm either moving this way or this way, right? Like I don't know where I'm going with this click, right? This is what I mean by every click matters, right? Like,
I think he was coming towards you, so I was just kind of standing there waiting for him to come in a little bit from there.
yeah, but not here. Here, move, pick a direction. But because like Wukong is a very like a millimeter off, and you get knocked up where you don't, right? Like and here we're chilling. This was his first Q, I think, right? His first ult. So I go in, and right here is when I was thinking maybe I should wind wall.
Right there, I'm going for right there. I was going for the knockup with the NATO.
Yeah. This is lit. I like that. Why is it taking so long though? Let me see.
So right there, I'm trying to get my NATO stacked up without
I EQ.
much damage. So
I EQ.
Huh?
I EQ here. EQR. Did you E him already? You didn't E him. Yeah.
I wanted to get more. I mean, every time I look for a NATO, I try to get as many people as I can of it.
Oh no. Right now you're just trying to save. Like, ideally, yeah, if you hit it this way and she E's, maybe it hits both. But you need to save this guy. You need him to be alive, because even if he survives with 1 HP, he does infinite damage. Sorry, I have to take this phone call. Give me 1 second. Go pee or something. Yeah, me too.
Alright, cool.
Let me see. So let me get back to where we were and finish this very quickly. Oh, hey, we almost made it to the end of the game. Look at us go.
Nice.
But yeah, this is kind of like a repeat of the situation. On a macro level, I want us to understand what's been happening this game. Yorick wants to split push. We want to not fight. We fight anyway because this is silver. Yorick TPs instead of committing to the split push yet again. This is literally his third time doing this and not his last time, which is very tilting. But then what can we do? What is in our control? It's salvaging the fight. Like I was saying, if we keep Jhin alive, even if he lives with 1 HP, everything they did up till then is literally wasted, because they spent their cooldowns and mana and their health to do damage to him. But then if he stays alive, and then he becomes unreachable because now we're the threat and they have to turn on us, he gets to free DPS, right? So my mission is to keep this guy alive. I don't understand, that's not your Q, that's his E, right? Like, I feel like you should be queuing earlier. Like right here, why you're not queuing? Okay, oh, you said because you wanted like a better queue.
Yeah. Well,
No, it's taking, you're taking too long. Yeah, but like right now, you should be able to queue, and you're still not queuing. You're still not queuing. Like, I wanted to queue him before he even E's, you know? It's very important. And also, I want to wind wall his E. Like, there's a lot of things you have to like keep track of, and this is the challenging part about, like, realistically, you queue W. Like, you need to be on top of, and you also have your flash. Like, right, there's no world where you're getting hit by these, like, telegraphed E's. Worst case, you flash, you EQ, something. Maybe you flash this way and queue this way if you really want all. Like, you have to do something. You can't just, because right now, you spent 29 minutes farming and getting kills to not be in the fight. Like, you just weren't in this fight. You did. I'm trying to count the damage you did in this fight. 200, 400, 600. Okay. 1,000 damage. All right. I farmed 30 minutes to do 1,000 damage in the fight. I am carrying. So that's the kind of stuff that makes me feel bad. I'm like, I just spent the entire game trying to carry, and then I didn't play the team fight correctly, and so I might as well have been AFK the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything else happens after that.
Macro. We need to learn, because we win games through macro. Yasuo is a mechanical champ, but if our macro is good, we don't need to outplay. That's what I try to get to create situations where I don't have to outplay, where they have to outplay me. The York backs because we're all bot, and he's like, well, fuck this, I don't wanna push, I have Hold Breaker. And so we're all here, and I'm like, yeah, we don't fight this. So we all leave, and he just goes mid, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go top, I guess. And now he's split pushing. And I remember here, I was telling you, ping everyone to come bot. We're doing a 1-4. We're doing a 1-4. Because we have the timer. Here, unfortunately, our 1-4 kind of sucks. We're not pushing as much as we should be. This is why he dies here, by the way. I'm looking at the minimap, right? Like, you're seeing the York movements, right? Right here, I'm pushing. Like, obviously they're here, so I can't. But, like, I am being as far up as they allow me to be. The moment they back up, I like take that space. They move back one, I move forward one. We back to get our item, which honestly like isn't troll, right? Like makes sense. This is a good time to do that. And now we ping all of them. And to be fair, it's kind of rare to get collapsed on this early. Most of the time you get collapsed on in this general area, right? This is generally where you start getting collapsed on. So him getting collapsed on in like the neutral zone is really unfortunate. And it's his bad for not waiting longer. Which he kind of did, actually. He did, and then he shows up, and he should have just fucking back there. Yeah, so, I don't know. No hindsight on this one. Like, I think we did the right thing. It just is. It is what it is. Because we're pushing as fast as we can. We just keep pushing. We try our best, but... Can we take this kill? I want this fight. Oh, yeah, I remember I tell you to learn the Q, but it is what it is. Let's talk about how we don't let this happen. Good E. It would have been better if you didn't have to win wall.
My skills got used for.
Yeah. Let's talk about your W. Oh yeah, I remember. I didn't like your W here because you did it
Really?
predictive.
Once he dashed, I thought
Yeah.
you were just.
Yeah. No. Never. Never use your wind wall too early. I'd rather you wind wall late than you wind wall nothing. Like get hit by it and wind wall late, then don't wind wall. Because over time you'll just get better, hopefully, at wind walling. Because it's very important that you don't waste your wind wall. It's like very, very important. And here, I remember I told you should let him hit it, and you're like, what? No way. But he doesn't do damage. And as soon as I see Lee Sin, I'm like, oh, okay. I stop dodging, and I literally walk into it. Because then he dies. And then maybe we can salvage it. Because the longer this goes on, the worse it is for us. We want to finish this fight before the people that killed the Yorick come. Because we want to refrag. And it's no longer a refrag. If they kill him, they back, they buy, and then they come and fight us 5v3. That's not a refrag. That's just us being bad. And this is the fight. This is the fight. They were all the fights, honestly. Lee Sin backs. And the poor Jin walks from... Where is he? Oh, he's there, okay. And then he walks that way, straight into the poppy. I'm walking with them. Maybe I go back bot, actually, to keep pushing. Yeah, I like going back bot. But the moment, right here, the moment I see the poppy on my Jin, I have to look at it. Because that helps me decide. Do I keep pushing bot, or do I go help? And it turns out that going to help would have been good. Then you get scared by the Silas, which again I disagree with. Because if you just burst him, you play that fairly well. The wind wall is kind of okay, but now that you wind walled, you're committed. Like right here, I'm gonna pause it. Once this happens, I just walk backwards, and I actually see the outline, so I also just walk like this, not like this. I walk like this or like this, right? And I just keep walking, and maybe I fight on my wave. It is what it is, right? It might be over. Maybe I like go and dash back in and just go up on the next wave that's coming. I know there's a wave coming here, but I don't wind wall, because the moment I wind wall, like, what do I do? Like, what are my options, right?
Can't the Ezreal... that just negates the Ezreal from...
Doing what?
Damage, you mean?
Like, it's an auto Q at most. No, just an auto, because you can Q through this.
Oh.
Like, it's not... You need your wind wall to fight in it if you want to win this fight. You don't need it to, like, deny some poke.
I just have my shield, though.
Because, like, all that's going to happen here is you're going to have to either walk into it or walk away, and they're just going to kite you. You need to save it until they commit. It's your committal... It's like your... All skirmishes have their tool, right? Fiora W, Yasuo W, whoever else, I don't remember the other skirmishers, Jax E. You need to use that. It's the most important ability in your kit, really. Because now you can W. I don't think you would even E forward if you had your W. I would have turned. Because, like, obviously they're going to come after they finish killing. Like, I'm on a timer. I need to kill these guys before it becomes this situation. So me doing this throughout the entire game is not good. This being just, like, always not pushing. I'm not pushing. I'm not letting them push me. I just need to put my, like, big boy pants on and just, like, fail forward, not fail backwards, right? Because if you fail forward like Caps, then at least you're, like, under their tower, not under your tower, right? It's much better to die under their tower than under your tower. Because you pushed the wave, you did what you had to do, and now you get a free death out of it. Why not? Here, I don't know. I'll be honest, at this point, like, what are you supposed to do? You can't save that. It is what it is. So we farm, we do our best, and now all we have to do is survive. Literally. All we have to do is wait 2 to 3 minutes, and Yorick ends the game. And so they have to back or base race, and they can base race us. So I'm pinging him. I'm pinging him to keep pushing here. You gotta ping him to keep pushing. You're not doing enough of a job of telling him to keep pushing. And I think me telling you that, like, kind of agitated you a little bit and distracted you, so, like, you played worse and you didn't ping him, so unlucky. But you need to be able to... Yeah, you didn't...
On the way for him.
Yeah, no, you gotta ping the inhib, like, hit that fucking inhib. He needs to hit the inhib, like, ping him a lot, incessantly, and also, don't die. It's 2 missions. Because right here, you kind of go in because this guy goes in, and so you're like, let me walk in. But you remember what I said, right? Never give Wukong a double knock-up on the only 2 people he wants to knock up.
He wants to, yeah.
This is not good. I don't like it. He runs away. He baits you, like, into the team slightly, but then you go in more. You're emboldened by him running away. Because it's, like, instinctive. It's just, like, psychology, right? Like, if they walk away, you walk towards them. If they walk towards you, you walk away. So he's at his advantage. He literally pulls you into him before going back in. And here... I have Tornado. And I ult too early. No, I don't like this. Here, before flashing, I knock them up. I'm trying to stall here. I'm not trying to kill everyone. I'm not going to burst anyone into death here. So I Q, and then I keep walking. But instead, I flash, and then I Q. And then what? Then I ult right away. And I ult while exhausted, first of all. I don't wait, and I don't auto, I don't EQ, I don't do anything. Yeah. This is not a good ult. And you're not Eing away. You stood still for almost 2 seconds there. As soon as you're not CC'd, like even before you're done being CC'd, you should already be buffering your next EQ on this. E away. Create space, make them chase you. Be hard to kill. At this point, you're no longer trying to kill, you're just trying to be hard to kill. Always look for value in every interaction. Every second, try to squeeze value out of it. And then the game is over. I hope this was useful. I really do.
A lot of information. I want you to see me play another game because that.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot better, and oh man, it's so sad.
Yeah, he could have ended literally 4 times. I'm like upset at him. We could have done better, but it was his game to win or lose, so he can. Yeah. Silly boy.
Okay. Well, hopefully I can catch you on Friday. I don't know about tomorrow, but maybe Friday I can catch you or something. And
yeah, sounds good.
play one.
I should be here. Yeah. If I'm in the afternoon. My name, real life name, Nassim.
Nassim?
Yeah, Nassim.
Nassim, I appreciate you, bro. Really
you as well. What's your name?
Mike.
Okay, Mike. Oh, yeah, I'll see you in a couple of days. Sorry to whoever else is in the call. I didn't get to coach you tonight either, but maybe next time. Oh, he left actually. All good.
Yeah, he left there.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right, bro. Have a great time.
You as well.
All right, bye-bye.